Chapter 370. The Ice Wind Sect was located at the center of the Ice Imperial City. However, outsiders were not allowed to enter the Ice Wind Sect at all. That was because the Ice Wind Sect had a great sect protecting formation around it. Around the Ice Wind Sect, there was always a thin mist drifting around it all year round. From the outside, one could only see the supreme ice sculpture. One after another, white-clothed figures shuttled back and forth within the Ice Wind Sect. The entire Ice Wind Sect was brimming with a joyous atmosphere. In the residence of the Ice Wind Sect's guests, Brother Yu Fan, Yu Qingzi was wearing a green robe. He had a slight smile on his face. Bing Xian is able to reach the level of a first-grade immortal emperor in such a short period of time. It seems like nephew Bing Xian has a boundless future. Immortal Emperor Yu Fan could not help but smile. Seeing this scene, Yu Qingzi secretly laughed in his heart. Many people have spread rumors that this immortal Emperor Yu Fan is Bing Xian's biological father. Seems like it's not baseless. The sect master of the Ice Wind Sect, Immortal Emperor Bing Lian, was a woman and did not have a Dao companion. However, Immortal Emperor Bing Lian had a son named Bing Xian. Countless people had been guessing who Bing Xian's father was. The 18 emperors and the 36 rulers under Emperor Yu were also guessing. As for Immortal Emperor Yu Fan, as Immortal Emperor Bing Lian's sworn brother, it could be said that he took great care of Immortal Emperor Bing Lian. Therefore, many people guessed that Immortal Emperor Yu Fan was Bing Xian's real father. However, this was something that Immortal Emperor Yu Fan and Immortal Emperor Bing Lian had never acknowledged. For little Xian to be able to reach the Immortal Emperor realm after cultivating for less than 100,000 years, it's both a good and bad thing. He, under the protection of Bing Lian, he basically did not suffer any hardships. Immortal Emperor Yu Fan sighed. Bing Lian is indeed very fond of nephew Bing Xian. Yu Qingzi nodded in agreement. A loving mother leads to a useless son. Fortunately, Bing Xian was born intelligent. Even under such circumstances, he still managed to cultivate to the Immortal Emperor realm. Immortal Emperor Yu Fan shook his head and said with a smile. When Bing Xian reached the Immortal Emperor realm, Immortal Emperor Bing Lian held a grand celebration. Many experts of the Ice Wind Sect rushed back from outside. Even Immortal Emperor Yu Fan and Immortal Emperor Yu Qingzi came to congratulate him. For a sect to have two immortal emperors was indeed an incredible thing. And at this moment, Yu Qingzi, who was chatting with Immortal Emperor Yu Fan, did not know that a god of death had already arrived outside the Ice Wind Sect. Qin Yu's figure was faintly discernible within the endless mist surrounding the Ice Wind Sect, together with Immortal Emperor Yu Fan. Let's wait for a while. Qin Yu's immortal consciousness immediately discovered that Yu Qingzi and Immortal Emperor Yu Fan were together. He didn't want the process of killing Yu Qingzi to be too troublesome. At this moment, a white-clothed woman walked over. This white-clothed woman looked very cold. Her hair was coiled up with only a jade hairpin. May I ask what Senior is doing here? If Senior wants to enter my Ice Wind Sect, you can let me inform you. The white-clothed woman was slightly respectful towards Qin Yu. Obviously, it was because she couldn't see through Qin Yu's cultivation. Qin Yu smiled and said, "No need." The white-clothed female was puzzled. Usually, there would be many people standing outside the Ice Wind Sect in order to pay respects to the Ice Wind Sect. However, she was able to tell that Qin Yu was an extremely powerful expert. Why would such an expert pay homage to the Ice Wind Sect? Then Junior won't disturb Senior. If Senior wants to enter, I'll have to trouble you to go through the main entrance. That's because my Ice Wind Sect has a sect protecting great array surrounding it. You can't enter from other places. The white-clothed female said respectfully. Qin Yu smiled and looked towards the white-clothed female. Do you think that I can't tell that there's a sect protecting great array surrounding it? The white-clothed female was slightly embarrassed. Indeed, with Qin Yu's strength, he could tell with a glance that the Ice Wind Sect was surrounded by a great array protecting it. One could only enter and exit from the main entrance. Then Junior will take her leave." The white-clothed female then retreated. However, she felt helpless in her heart. It was indeed a bit strange for such an expert to pay respects to the buildings outside the Icewind sect, as if he was a nobody who had never seen the world. Qin Yu was calmly standing within the mist. Every once in a while, Qin Yu would use his immortal awareness to investigate the Icewind sect. This sect-protecting Great Formation Array surrounded the Icewind sect. Qin Yu was unable to directly teleport into the Icewind sect and could only charge in from the main entrance. "It's about time." Qin Yu's eyes shined. Qin Yu's immortal consciousness very clearly discovered that at this moment, Yu Qingzi had already left Immortal Emperor Yu Fan's residence and returned to his own place. Yu Qingzi, last time, you and Immortal Emperor Qian Qi led dozens of level 9 golden immortals and 200 level 8 golden immortals to surround and kill me. You even caused the death of my foolish disciple. Today it's time for you to pay your debt. Qin Yu's gaze turned cold as he directly walked towards the main entrance of the Icewind sect. In all directions of the Icewind sect, only the main entrance was not blocked by a great array. However, if outsiders wanted to enter, they had to at least report and obtain permission before they could enter. However, the disciples of the Icewind sect could enter and leave as they pleased. That inexplicable expert is here. The white-clothed female who had asked Qin Yu earlier was standing beside the main entrance. Seeing Qin Yu walking over, she couldn't help but look towards Qin Yu. 1 step, 2 steps. Qin Yu approached the main entrance. "Senior." The white-clothed female took a step forward and was about to speak. However, whoosh! Qin Yu's figure suddenly turned into an afterimage. With a speed that the white-clothed female couldn't react to, he directly charged into the main entrance. Seeing this scene, the white-clothed female was slightly startled. Then she reacted. "There's an enemy." Following the white-clothed female's loud shout, the entire Icewind sect couldn't help but panic. Times his figure was like a blue phantom, faintly discernible. He nimbly passed through the buildings and in a blink of an eye, he arrived at Yu Qingzi's residence. Not good. When Qin Yu had just charged into the Icewind sect with extreme speed, Immortal Emperor Yu Fan had already discovered him. With a movement of his body, he disappeared from his residence. "Mother." An adorable youth with a rosy complexion heard the commotion outside, and an excited expression appeared on his face. "Xiao Xian, you're not allowed to go out." Immortal Emperor Bing Lian coldly shouted. Soon after, she dashed out like lightning. With Qin Yu's speed, Yu Qingzi had only just discovered that someone had charged in from the main entrance of the Icewind sect when he discovered that the enemy had already arrived before him. Yu Qingzi's first reaction was to unleash his domain, and abruptly began to restrict the enemy's movements. A set of top-grade immortal armor appeared on the surface of Yu Qingzi's body. He also held a top-grade immortal sword in his hand. While dodging, he immediately sent a sound transmission. "Who are you, fellow Taoist? I don't seem to have any grievances with you." Qin Yu sensed that his movements were obstructed and coldly snorted. Unleashing his domain. Emperor-level expert. Yu Qingzi's face turned cold. He sensed that the enemy was currently fighting over the control of the surrounding space with him. At this moment, Yu Qingzi showed no mercy and immediately attacked with his sword. "Yu Qingzi, prepare to die." Qin Yu angrily shouted through sound transmission. The black hole within Qin Yu's dantian began to rotate in the opposite direction. Following the rotation, the surrounding space also began to vibrate. Yu Qingzi sensed that something was wrong. Following the rapid rotation of the black hole, a golden energy of the black hole began to rapidly shoot out from the other side of Qin Yu's dantian. Following the passage formed by the life elemental energy, a golden afterimage rapidly passed through the passage and shot out in the direction of Qin Yu's index finger. Lu Xing's fourth finger technique. Sky-piercing finger. Bang! An intense vibration sounded and Yu Qingzi was thrown to the other side. As for Immortal Emperor Yu Fan, he was standing in front of him. In an instant earlier, Immortal Emperor Yu Fan appeared in front of Yu Qingzi and blocked Qin Yu's sky-piercing finger. Immortal Emperor Yu Fan was originally very close to Yu Qingzi's residence. When Qin Yu arrived at Yu Qingzi's residence, Immortal Emperor Yu Fan had already arrived. It's just that Immortal Emperor Yu Fan did not attack. When Qin Yu used the sky-piercing finger, the surrounding space started to vibrate with Qin Yu as the center. Immortal Emperor Yu Fan sensed that something was wrong and felt that Yu Qingzi would most likely not be able to block it. Thus, he immediately pushed Yu Qingzi away and blocked the attack. Fellow Taoist, who exactly are you? At this moment, Immortal Emperor Yu Fan was also shocked. He was prepared to block the attack. However, even though he was prepared, the immortal elemental energy that enveloped the top-quality immortal sword was completely scattered by the sky-piercing finger. Even the top-quality immortal sword was nearly shattered. I am the one who seeks revenge. When Qin Yu saw Immortal Emperor Yu Fan appear, he knew that it would be a bit troublesome to kill Yu Qingzi. Of course, it's only a bit troublesome. A level 6 Immortal Emperor was not a match for Qin Yu. However, a level 6 Immortal Emperor would also not be able to do anything to Qin Yu. With Qin Yu's defense, he would definitely be able to kill Yu Qingzi under the protection of Immortal Emperor Yu Fan. Who dares to behave atrociously in my Ice Wind sect? A cold shout sounded. A battlesuit that seemed to be made of profound ice wrapped around the body of a noble and unsullied beauty. That woman was currently standing several tens of meters to the left of Qin Yu. In an instant, several great experts had gathered in the small courtyard. Qin Yu's lips slightly curled upwards. Qin Yu was very clear about the might of the sky-piercing finger. It was about the same as the divine sword Heaven Piercer's close-range attack. After all, the sky-piercing finger was only condensed energy. After being accelerated by the black hole, and adding on Qin Yu's understanding of space, it was already very impressive for it to have such might. However, Qin Yu's strongest attack was not this. When Yu Qingzi saw that Immortal Emperor Yu Fan and Immortal Emperor Bing Lian had appeared, his heart calmed down a lot. Immediately, he stood beside Immortal Emperor Yu Fan and coldly shouted at Qin Yu. Who are you? What enmity do I have with you? Why do you want to kill me? What enmity? You will know when you die. Qin Yu sneered. Boasting shamelessly. Immortal Emperor Yu Fan coldly said. I can see that you are also an Immortal Emperor level expert. I can't bear for you to lose your 10 million years of bitter cultivation in a single day. If you explain the matter clearly, I can still be a mediator and resolve the enmity between you and Yu Qingzi. It was very difficult to reach the level of Immortal Emperor. Furthermore, Immortal Emperor level experts would only befriend Immortal Emperor level experts. Killing one of them might provoke a group of Immortal Emperors. Therefore, to Immortal Emperors, if they could resolve their enmity peacefully, they would do so. Resolve. When Qin Yu heard what Immortal Emperor Yu Fan said, his heart burned with even more fury. Would resolving the matter be able to revive his only disciple? When Immortal Emperor Yu Fan, Yu Qingzi, and Immortal Emperor Bing Lian saw that Qin Yu was silent, they quietly waited for Qin Yu's reply. If they could avoid fighting, they would try their best not to. Furthermore, Qin Yu's sky-piercing finger earlier had also displayed his strength. Whoosh! Qin Yu's figure suddenly charged forward. You're courting death. Immortal Emperor Yu Fan also charged toward Qin Yu. When he saw Qin Yu's action, he already knew of Qin Yu's decision. Either you die or I die. As a subordinate of Emperor Yu, how could Immortal Emperor Yu Fan not help Yu Qingzi? But Yu Qingzi and Immortal Emperor Bing Lian's expression both turned cold. At the same time, they attacked Qin Yu. Immortal Emperor Yu Fan's right palm emitted a dazzling golden light. Mysterious talisman seals were engraved on his right palm. The seals contained power that caused one's heart to tremble. The Heavenly Fan Seal Technique, Immortal Emperor Yu Fan's famous consummate skill. As for Qin Yu, his index finger was already pointing toward Immortal Emperor Yu Fan. Immortal Emperor Yu Fan, who had tasted the sky-piercing finger, knew how powerful Qin Yu's finger was. Thus, he couldn't help but increase his attack power to the maximum. In an instant, the radiance from Immortal Emperor Yu Fan's right palm even surpassed the sun. One palm. One finger. One palm against one finger. Who was stronger? Bang! Strangely, at the instant when the two palms collided, Qin Yu waved his arm. His finger actually let go of his opponent's palm attack, and allowed his opponent's palm attack to land on his chest. Although Immortal Emperor Yu Fan was astonished, he was ruthless in his heart. You dare to take my palm attack head-on? You're courting death. That golden palm heavily landed on Qin Yu's chest. Following the power of the palm, Qin Yu's body moved in an arc and actually charged toward Qin Yu. How is this possible? Immortal Emperor Yu Fan found this hard to believe. At the beginning, when he received Qin Yu's finger attack, he knew of Qin Yu's strength. He simply did not believe that Qin Yu would be able to take his palm attack head-on and not die. Qin Yu's complexion turned cold. In a blink of an eye, the injury on his chest was healed by the elemental life power. At the moment when Qin Yu used his body to block that palm attack, the black hole within his body had already started to rotate in the opposite direction. With Qin Yu as the center, the surrounding space started to vibrate. A golden blur with a terrifying speed passed through the black hole and shot out from Qin Yu's index finger. In the courtyard, Qin Yu had almost just received that palm attack. His entire body pointed his index finger at Yu Qingzi. The golden blur shot out at an astonishing speed, drawing a dazzling trajectory. Sky-piercing finger. When Qin Yu pointed his finger at Yu Qingzi, his eyes were closed. His consciousness completely controlled the trajectory of that sky-piercing finger. That moment, Qin Yu's soul could clearly feel the fluctuation of the universe space. Qin Yu's sky-piercing finger also moved slightly along with the fluctuation. The might of the sky-piercing finger had reached its maximum level. Yu Qingzi waved his sword in an attempt to block. Bang! The golden blur brushed past the top-grade immortal sword and shot into Yu Qingzi's abdomen. Too fast. So fast that even Yu Qingzi's immortal sword did not touch the sky-piercing finger. The sky-piercing finger directly pierced through the top-grade immortal armor on Yu Qingzi's body. At the same time, it pierced through Yu Qingzi's yuanying. Yu Qingzi, do you still remember that night on Amber Moon Star? That night your people killed my disciple. And today I will kill you. Don't worry, not only you, that immortal Emperor Qian Qi will accompany you one day. When the souls started to disperse, Qin Yu's voice sounded in Yu Qingzi's mind. You are. Yu Qingzi's eyes widened. Soon after, his body collapsed. Yu Qingzi died on the spot. Coldly looking at Yu Qingzi, who died with his eyes wide open, Qin Yu thought of Lu Honshu. Foolish disciple, that night, the three immortal emperors will all be buried with you. None of them will be able to escape. Now, there is only one left. Qin Yu disappeared from the scene in an instant. When Immortal Emperor Bing Lian and Immortal Emperor Yu Fan saw Yu Qingzi collapse and Qin Yu disappear, they were slightly startled. After a short moment, the two of them reacted. Close the interstellar conveying array. Do not allow anyone to escape. Immortal Emperor Bing Lian took out her transmission spiritual pearl. Immortal Emperor Yu Fan coldly shouted. He immediately rushed out of Ice Wind Sect. Chapter 371. The cold wind whistled, and his vision was filled with boundless black ice. You want to chase me? Qin Yu turned his head and glanced in the direction of the Ice Imperial City. Back then, even the white-haired blood demon found it difficult to catch up to me. Although I was in the body of a sword immortal puppet at that time, the current me is not much weaker than a sword immortal puppet. Qin Yu was at the intermediate black hole realm. However, in terms of body, even that 6th grade Immortal Emperor Yu Fan was no match for Qin Yu. In addition, Immortal Emperor Yu Fan didn't even have a single divine tool. It was normal for him to be left behind by Qin Yu. As expected, the interstellar teleportation array has been shut down. With a sweep of his immortal senses, Qin Yu discovered that the interstellar teleportation array was completely shut down. If he didn't have a special spell to activate it, he wouldn't be able to use the interstellar teleportation array no matter how powerful he was. Looks like I can only use greater teleportation. Qin Yu relied on the map provided by Ao Wuming to know the location of the major planets around the white ice star. Don't even think of leaving. A furious shout was heard. A palm silhouette once again came striking over. The person who came was Immortal Emperor Yu Fan. Seeing the sudden appearance of Immortal Emperor Lu Xing, Qin Yu was astonished. How is this possible? I have already restrained my power and my soul has also fused with the tear of Lu Xing. How is it possible for this Immortal Emperor Yu Fan to discover me? He couldn't figure it out no matter how hard he tried, but he couldn't afford to be in a daze right now. A divine sword appeared under Qin Yu's feet. Suddenly, he turned into a ray of light and disappeared into the horizon. Qin Yu didn't dare to use greater teleportation in the battlefield. Trying to escape. Humph, even if you were able to escape from the hands of Emperor Yu, Mystic Emperor and them, you can forget about escaping from my hands. Immortal Emperor Yu Fan looked at the location where Qin Yu disappeared to and laughed coldly. Immediately after, he chased after Qin Yu again. Bing Lian, you don't have to chase. Just leave it to me. At the same time, Immortal Emperor Yu Fan sent a voice transmission to Immortal Emperor Bing Lian. Immortal Emperor Bing Lian, who had chased after Yu Qingzi, stopped immediately. Big brother, if that guy is very powerful, then it would be better for him to send a transmission to Emperor Yu. Furthermore, we must also report the death of Yu Qingzi to Emperor Yu. Alright, I know. Immortal Emperor Yu Fan took out his transmission spiritual pearl. As he chased after Qin Yu, Immortal Emperor Yu Fan began to send a transmission to Emperor Yu. Times, go. When Qin Yu saw that he had already left Immortal Emperor Yu Fan far behind, he immediately used greater teleportation and disappeared within the endless cold wind. The target of Qin Yu's greater teleportation was a planet that was relatively far from the white ice star, the green tree star. The green tree star and the white ice star were in the same galaxy, and they were separated by more than 10 planets. On the green tree star there were many trees. Each tree was over 100 meters tall. The entire green tree star was filled with endless greenery. It was very mystical. This is really strange. How did this Immortal Emperor Yu Fan know where I am? Qin Yu stood on the crown of a large tree. His heart was filled with confusion. Even Emperor Yu, Shui Tianya, and the others were unable to discover me when I was restraining my aura. How did this Immortal Emperor Yu Fan discover me? With Lu Xing's tear, Qin Yu had always been proud of his concealment skills. And now it was discovered by that Immortal Emperor Yu Fan. How could Qin Yu not be puzzled and distressed? Could it be that Immortal Emperor Yu Fan was a blind cat trying to catch a dead mouse and coincidentally saw me? The more Qin Yu thought about it, the more he thought so. It must be like that. He must have just been lucky. Suddenly, a figure shot over rapidly from afar. Qin Yu's sensitive immortal awareness immediately discovered the person who had arrived. The person who had arrived was actually Immortal Emperor Yu Fan. How is this possible? Qin Yu was immediately dumbfounded. He had used greater teleportation to the green tree star. How did this Immortal Emperor Yu Fan know that he was on the green tree star? A golden ray of light shot toward Qin Yu. Qin Yu immediately dodged it. That was the immortal sword that belonged to Immortal Emperor Yu Fan. Qin Yu did not wish to fight with this level 6 Immortal Emperor at all. Kill a level 6 Immortal Emperor. Qin Yu knew that his strength was still insufficient. No matter if it was his control over domain or his attack power, there was a gap between them. In the Ice Wind sect, his opponent was able to block his sky-piercing finger with merely a top-quality immortal sword. One could imagine the gap between their strengths. Who are you? Why do you want to kill Yu Qingzi? If you have the ability and courage, then report your name. Immortal Emperor Yu Fan shouted via voice transmission. In reality, Immortal Emperor Yu Fan was also having a headache. This guy's escaping speed is truly fast. It is truly difficult for me to catch him. Seems like I can only let green-blooded sword Immortal Emperor Yu and the others take action. Unfortunately, Emperor Yu is still in his lair and is a few star fields away from here. He won't be able to rush over in a short period of time. Immortal Emperor Yu Fan was helpless. Right now, he only wanted to know Qin Yu's name so that he could chase after Qin Yu and kill him in the future. As Qin Yu fled, he sent a voice transmission at the same time. Yu Fan, are you stupid? You even want me to report my name. If you have the ability, then find out who I am yourself. Goodbye. Qin Yu once again shook Immortal Emperor Yu Fan off with his speed. This bastard. Immortal Emperor Yu Fan was also furious. Since his speed was unable to catch up to Yu Fan, what could he do? Qin Yu flew far away in a single breath. After shaking Immortal Emperor Yu Fan off, he saw that the surrounding space had stabilized. Then, he used greater teleportation and once again escaped far away. If he were to catch up to me again, then this matter would truly be strange. Qin Yu sat on a rock. His heart was filled with helplessness. However, he had spread out his immortal awareness to see if Immortal Emperor Yu Fan would chase after him again. In merely an instant, a person suddenly appeared several hundred miles away. Clearly, it was also a sacred ability that was related to greater teleportation. Immortal Emperor Yu Fan. He chased after me again. Qin Yu felt an incomparable headache. What exactly was going on? However, before he could ponder any further, that Immortal Emperor Yu Fan had already arrived beside Qin Yu. If I don't kill you, I truly won't be able to calm down. Qin Yu's heart was filled with anger. Qin Yu pointed with one hand. A golden afterimage suddenly shot out. Following a straight trajectory, it shot toward Immortal Emperor Yu Fan at an extremely fast speed. That golden afterimage was also extremely strange. Although it appeared to be a straight line, when one looked at it, one would always feel that it was faintly discernible. Break. Immortal Emperor Yu Fan pointed with one hand. The tip of his sword actually just happened to touch the golden afterimage. His body merely trembled slightly and broke through Qin Yu's attack. Your comprehension towards domain is not bad. Unfortunately, compared to me, it's still far from enough. Immortal Emperor Yu Fan said with a smile. That sword strike of his earlier did not appear to be fast. However, it blocked the extremely fast sky-piercing finger. This was the disparity between realms. This time, when Immortal Emperor Yu Fan saw that Qin Yu actually did not escape immediately, he could not help but be secretly delighted. However, he himself rapidly flew toward Qin Yu. At the same time, he unleashed his domain. The might of a domain was related to its range. With Immortal Emperor Yu Fan's strength, if he were to unleash a domain with a range of several thousand miles, although it would appear to be pretty good in reality, it would not pose much of a threat to the people within the domain. On the contrary, if Immortal Emperor Yu Fan were to only unleash a domain with a range of 100 meters, the domain would be very small and would pose a much greater threat to the people within the domain. However, if the domain was small, it would be very difficult to make the enemy within the domain. This time, Qin Yu did not escape. Instead, he attacked. This caused the distance between the two to be very close. You're still thinking of escaping this time. A trace of ruthlessness appeared in Immortal Emperor Yu Fan's eyes. Qin Yu immediately sensed that the surrounding space seemed to have turned into a swamp. His movements were greatly restricted. Stepping on Divine Sword Skypiercer. 1. Don't even think of escaping this time. You dared to kill the subordinates of Emperor Yu. You're courting death. Immortal Emperor Yu Fan rushed over rapidly. His speed was even faster than Qin Yu's. Immortal Emperor Yu Fan's speed was not restricted. Qin Yu's speed was restricted. The result was obvious. You want to chase after me. Qin Yu also tried in vain to unleash his domain. However, in terms of the understanding of space, Qin Yu was far inferior to Immortal Emperor Yu Fan, who was already a level 6 Immortal Emperor. He was simply unable to use his own domain to shake his opponent's domain. Seeing that the distance between the two was rapidly closing, Qin Yu grew anxious. Humph, humph. Let's see how you're going to escape this time. Earlier when you saw me, you actually didn't escape and instead met me head-on. This is the biggest mistake you've made in your entire life. Immortal Emperor Yu Fan's left hand flickered with golden light. The immortal sword beneath his feet was also flickering with golden light. Immortal Emperor Yu Fan was extremely confident. This time he would definitely be able to capture Qin Yu. However, a gravitational force much stronger than the binding of a domain suddenly descended. This gravitational force was so strong that it caused the unprepared Immortal Emperor Yu Fan to suddenly sink. In an instant, he smashed onto the ground. Qin Yu took this opportunity to escape the range of the domain. Hoo! Immortal Emperor Yu Fan could only look on helplessly as Qin Yu disappeared. Gravitational domain, it's actually the gravitational domain. Could it be that this Qin Yu is someone from the Dark Star Realm? Other than the Dark Star Realm, there shouldn't be any other place that's proficient in gravitational domain. Immortal Emperor Yu Fan's expression was solemn. As a level 6 Immortal Emperor, he knew a lot about the entire Immortal, Devil and Demon realm. An Emperor-level expert from the Dark Star Realm actually came to kill Yu Qingzi. Immortal Emperor Yu Fan knew how serious this matter was. When did Yu Qingzi provoke someone from the Dark Star Realm? I must inform His Majesty about this matter. No, before that I must first capture that murderer. I must clarify this matter. At this moment, Immortal Emperor Yu Fan's state of mind was completely different. Earlier, he only wanted to kill Qin Yu. But now, even if Qin Yu didn't attack, he, Immortal Emperor Yu Fan, did not dare to kill Qin Yu. In terms of protecting their clansmen, compared to the Demon Realm's Dragon Clan, the legendary people of the Dark Star Realm were even more protective of their clansmen. If anyone dared to kill one of their clansmen, it was likely that the experts of the Dark Star Realm would immediately attack. Immortal Emperor Yu Fan still remembered that back then, an Immortal Emperor under the Mystic Emperor had killed someone from the Dark Star Realm who possessed the strength of a Golden Immortal. In the end, the Mystic Emperor was forced to hand that Immortal Emperor over to the Dark Star Realm to be dealt with as they wished. Fortunately, the people from the Dark Star Realm did not like to get involved in the matters of the Immortal Realm, Devil Realm and Demon Realm. Otherwise, who knows how chaotic the Immortal, Devil and Demon Realm would be. Qin Yu once again used greater teleportation to escape to a new planet. My understanding of space is far inferior to this Immortal Emperor Yu Fan. The difference in strength between our domains is actually this big. In his domain, I can only rely on this gravitational domain. Qin Yu was filled with helplessness. At the same time, Qin Yu was still carefully observing with his immortal awareness. Sure enough, Immortal Emperor Yu Fan had also used greater teleportation to arrive here. Without the slightest hesitation, Qin Yu immediately controlled the divine sword Sky Piercer to escape. Friend from the Dark Star Realm, I don't know how Yu Qingzi provoked you for you to want to kill him. Rest assured, I will not attack him. Immortal Emperor Yu Fan's voice transmission sounded in Qin Yu's mind. If I don't attack, whoever believes me is an idiot. Qin Yu instead increased his speed and escaped. After shaking off Immortal Emperor Yu Fan, he immediately used greater teleportation and arrived at another planet. Only after arriving at a new planet did Qin Yu react. He called me a friend from the Dark Star Realm? Qin Yu was startled. Dark Star Realm? Why would he think that I'm someone from the Dark Star Realm? When mentioning the Dark Star Realm, Qin Yu recalled the map that Ao Wuming had given him. The map that Ao Wuming had given him was made with the utmost effort of the Dragon Clan. The routes to almost all of the places in the Immortal, Devil and Demon Realm were all on the map. Of course, it was only almost. Not all places were completely covered. There was a place that was not covered. Dark Star Realm. In the Immortal, Devil and Demon Realm, 20% belonged to the Immortal Realm, 20% belonged to the devil realm and 50% belonged to the demon realm. The remaining 10% belonged to the legendary Dark Star realm. The Dark Star realm that was not famous at all. Under normal circumstances, the people from the Dark Star realm would not leave the Dark Star realm. People from the outside world were also not allowed to enter the Dark Star realm. Even ordinary immortal emperors only knew that there was a mysterious region in the immortal, devil and demon realm that one could not enter. However, those immortal emperors with ordinary status did not know that this mysterious region was called the Dark Star realm. I'm someone from the Dark Star realm? How come I don't know about it myself? Qin Yu lightly smiled. The interstellar map that Ao Wuming had given him did not have much of an introduction to the Dark Star realm. It only had a single sentence. Do not enter the Dark Star realm. The meaning of the people from the Dragon clan was very clear. If one does not enter the Dark Star realm, one would not provoke the people from the Dark Star realm. After all, the people from the Dark Star realm, unless they had no other choice, they would not leave the Dark Star realm. Regardless of this matter, why is that immortal Emperor Yufan always able to find me? Qin Yu pondered. Friend from the Dark Star realm. He's here again. Right after hearing the voice transmission in his mind, Qin Yu immediately controlled the divine sword Skypiercer and began to flee. While fleeing, Qin Yu was still pondering as to why this immortal Emperor Yufan would always be able to find him. After continuously using greater teleportation on 3 planets, I finally arrived at the extreme northwest of the Drifting Wind Galaxy. This place is the closest to the border of the Angelica de Hurica Galaxy. I should be able to use greater teleportation in one go. According to the map, Qin Yu knew that this place was the closest to the border between the Drifting Wind Galaxy and the Angelica de Hurica Galaxy. As they were about to arrive at the Angelica de Hurica Galaxy, Qin Yu's heart had calmed down a bit. It was as Qin Yu had anticipated. Right after Qin Yu stopped for a short while, that immortal Emperor Yufan had already appeared on this planet. Friend from the Dark Star realm, said immortal Emperor Yufan with a smile on his face. Hey, shut up. Qin Yu extended his hand and said, this northwest side is the Angelica de Hurica Galaxy. The Angelica de Hurica Galaxy is the Cyan Emperor's galaxy. Well then, I shall take my leave. After saying those words, Qin Yu stepped onto the divine sword Skypiercer and began to rapidly flee. After a short moment, Qin Yu used greater teleportation and left the Drifting Wind Galaxy. He arrived at the Cyan Emperor's territory, the Angelica de Hurica Galaxy. The Cyan Emperor's territory. Immortal Emperor Yufan slightly frowned. He remembered Emperor Yu's instructions from back then. If there's nothing important, do not fight in the Cyan Emperor's territory. For the time being, I do not wish to become enemies with the Cyan Emperor. I won't fight. It should be fine for me to chase after you, right? Immortal Emperor Yufan immediately used greater teleportation and chased after Qin Yu. Chapter 372. The Angelica de Hurica Galaxy was a galaxy located in the western region of the Plate Egg star field. The core planet of this Angelica de Hurica Galaxy was the Jade Wave star. As for the planet that Qin Yu had just stepped into, it was not far from the Jade Wave star. With a greater teleportation, he appeared in the Angelica de Hurica Galaxy. Qin Yu's mind that had been in a mess the entire time suddenly had a flash of inspiration. A palm strike. That's right. From the beginning to the end, the only time that I truly came into contact with this immortal Emperor Yufan was that palm strike. Qin Yu immediately lowered his head to look. He was unable to see anything special on his chest. Qin Yu began to carefully inspect the surface of the clothes on his chest with his immortal awareness. An extremely tiny golden speck was stuck onto Qin Yu's body. It was so much so that Qin Yu was unable to sense any sort of energy reaction from this golden speck. If it wasn't for the fact that he suspected that he was being followed, Qin Yu would have only thought that this golden speck was a speck of dust. Chi. A sharp black hole energy rushed out from Qin Yu's body and directly attacked that golden speck. After being attacked by the black hole energy, the golden speck actually started to shine. Qin Yu was shocked to discover that the talisman seal patterns that had appeared on Immortal Emperor Yu Fan's palm had actually appeared outside of the golden speck. The attack failed. This energy is truly strange. My attack was actually unable to eliminate it. Qin Yu was unable to refrain his shock. Qin Yu knew very well how powerful the black hole energy's attack was. However, he was actually unable to eliminate this strange golden speck. Could this be the miraculous aspect of Immortal Emperor Yu Fan's heavenly fan seal technique? Normally, I would not be able to sense any energy from this golden speck. However, when I attacked it, it actually exploded with so much energy. Qin Yu was shocked. However, he was not nervous. How could a flame without a source last for a long time? Friend from the Dark Star Realm, I would like to trouble you to have a chat with me. I will definitely not approach you. Immortal Emperor Yu Fan once again used greater teleportation to appear. When Immortal Emperor Yu Fan saw Qin Yu attacking the fan seal, that was unique to the heavenly fan seal technique, he already knew about it. You're truly senseless. Qin Yu felt a bit helpless in his heart. He did not wish to hide in the Jianglan's realm and waste time. Even if he were to pick up the heaven-splitting divine sword and fight against his opponent, Qin Yu knew that the probability of victory was very low. Fortunately, Qin Yu had now discovered the reason why he was being chased by the other party. Immortal Emperor Yu Fan, your heavenly fan seal technique is indeed powerful. Qin Yu let out a rare laugh, and in one breath, he sent out several black holes to attack the Brahma seal. When Immortal Emperor Yu Fan saw this scene, he knew that he would no longer be able to catch up to the person before him. Friend from the Dark Star Realm, can you tell me exactly what sort of enmity you have with Yu Qingzi? Immortal Emperor Yu Fan displayed a friendly smile on his face. He tried his best to make himself appear cordial. However, Qin Yu did not mind in the slightest. Instead, he looked at Immortal Emperor Yu Fan with a confused expression. Enmity, why must I tell you? You. Immortal Emperor Yu Fan's face turned red. Qin Yu's earlier words clearly contained ridicule. How could Immortal Emperor Yu Fan not be able to tell that? Ah, it's finally been eliminated. Immortal Emperor Yu Fan, to be honest, I admire your ultimate move. I reckon that there aren't many people in the immortal realm that know how to use it. Qin Yu patted the clothes on his chest. Brahma seal, although it was hard to eliminate, it possessed a lot of energy. However, after being continuously attacked by Qin Yu, its energy was being consumed unceasingly. In the end, it let out a very light bang sound and dissipated. Sigh, friend from the Dark Star Realm. I know that there are some enmity between you and Yu Qingzi. However, it's better to squash enmity than to keep it alive. If you were to explain the matter clearly, then His Majesty Emperor Yu would definitely magnanimously resolve this matter. Immortal Emperor Yu Fan tried his best to persuade Qin Yu. At this point, Immortal Emperor Yu Fan knew that it would be difficult for him to catch up to Qin Yu. Magnanimously resolve this matter. Is Emperor Yu that good? Qin Yu had a trace of ridicule in his eyes. No matter how magnanimous Emperor Yu was, it would still be impossible for him to let go of the bewitching god painting in his possession. For the bewitching god painting, Emperor Yu had even directly fallen out with Xue Tianya and fought him. From this, it could be seen how much Emperor Yu coveted the bewitching god painting. His Majesty Emperor Yu is magnanimous, he would definitely not. Seeing that Immortal Emperor Yu Fan was still trying to persuade him, Qin Yu hurriedly extended his hand and said carelessly, Enough, I don't have time to waste words with you. Farewell. After saying that, Qin Yu rapidly flew out. After that, he used greater teleportation and disappeared. Qin Yu's next destination was the Jade Wave Star. The Jade Wave Star was the core planet of the Angelica de Hurica galaxy. Naturally, there were a lot of interstellar conveying arrays on this planet. With developed transportation, there were many interstellar conveying arrays that led to other galaxies. Friend from the Dark Star Realm. Immortal Emperor Yu Fan wanted to chase after Qin Yu. It would seem that I can only have Emperor Yu personally resolve this matter. I wonder where he is now. When he was on the White Ice Star, he had wanted to send a transmission to Emperor Yu. Unfortunately, he did not succeed. That was because the distance between him and Emperor Yu was too far. Only by entering the messaging maze formation would he be able to successfully send a transmission. In the end, Immortal Emperor Yu Fan had Immortal Emperor Bing Lian report this matter to Emperor Yu. From the transmission that Immortal Emperor Bing Lian sent to him, Immortal Emperor Yu Fan knew that when the transmission was sent, Emperor Yu was still in his lair. At that time, Emperor Yu had already set off. With Emperor Yu's speed, he would likely be able to pass through 1 or 2 star fields in such a long period of time. Suddenly, an immortal awareness that covered the sky and covered the earth spread over from the west. It passed through the outer space and descended upon the planet that Immortal Emperor Yu Fan was on. That enormous immortal awareness immediately locked onto Immortal Emperor Yu Fan. Yu Fan! An indifferent voice sounded in Immortal Emperor Yu Fan's mind. Immortal Emperor Yu Fan's heart trembled. He had only just come into contact with the other party's immortal awareness and was able to sense how powerful the other party was. It was a power that surpassed his imagination. The other party was definitely able to crush him to death like crushing an ant. May I know who Senior is? At this moment, Immortal Emperor Yu Fan still did not know which mysterious expert was actually able to pass through the outer space and cover him. Saiyan Emperor. It was still an indifferent voice. When Immortal Emperor Yu Fan heard the 2 words Saiyan Emperor, he felt powerless all over his body. Faced with this Saiyan Emperor who had cultivated for an extremely long time, Immortal Emperor Yu Fan could only respectfully say, "May I know why Senior is looking for this junior?" "Yu Fan, you don't have to chase after that person from earlier," Saiyan Emperor said indifferently. "Senior Saiyan Emperor, that person killed Yu Qingzi, one of the 36 rulers under Emperor Yu." Immortal Emperor Yu Fan was not someone who would easily back off. "He killed Yu Qingzi, how could I possibly give up like this?" Although Immortal Emperor Yu Fan said those words, he was actually unable to chase after that person even if he wanted to. "Yu Fan, with that person's ability, I reckon that you would not be able to catch up to him even if you wanted to. The reason why I told you not to chase after him was also because I wanted you to tell Emperor Yu to not touch that person in my territory. As for what you all can do after leaving my territory, I will not care what you all do." Saiyan Emperor's voice clearly sounded in Immortal Emperor Yu Fan's mind. Immortal Emperor Yu Fan was puzzled. Why would Saiyan Emperor involve himself in this matter? Could it be that this person from the Dark Star Realm possessed an extraordinary status? Senior Saiyan Emperor, this junior is unable to promise Senior on behalf of His Majesty Emperor Yu. However, this junior is able to help pass on these words to His Majesty Emperor Yu. As for what His Majesty Emperor Yu will do, this junior is unable to guarantee. Immortal Emperor Yu Fan was very respectful. You merely need to pass on the message." Saiyan Emperor's voice was faintly discernible. "Remember, it's best to leave the Angelica de Hurica galaxy in a while." Immortal Emperor Yu Fan did not dare to refuse. Times traveling through the night, Emperor Yu was rushing toward the Plate Egg Star field unceasingly. When Yu Qingzi was killed, Immortal Emperor Bing Lian had used the Ice Wind Sex transmission secret array to send a transmission to Emperor Yu. At that time, Emperor Yu had felt that this matter was very troublesome. Furthermore, the green-blooded sword immortal was not present, and even Immortal Emperor Yu Fan was unable to handle this matter. After all, Yu Qingzi was one of the 36 rulers under his command. At the same time, Yu Qingzi was also the leader of Emperor Yu's only power in the Indigo Bay starfield. In the Indigo Bay starfield, only the Silver Stream starfield belonged to Emperor Yu's territory. The power that controlled that place was precisely the Jade Sword School. Emperor Yu's speed of travel was very fast. For most of the journey, he had used greater teleportation. Only for places that were further away, He had used interstellar conveying arrays. With a combination of greater teleportation and interstellar conveying arrays, Emperor Yu had managed to travel nearly half the distance in an instant. On a barren planet, Emperor Yu's figure suddenly stopped. What? Didn't manage to catch him. Emperor Yu held onto his transmission spiritual pearl and started to frown. At this moment, Immortal Emperor Yu Fan had used greater teleportation and returned to the White Ice Star and Ice Wind sect through the interstellar conveying array. He was currently reporting to Emperor Yu through the Ice Wind sect's transmission secret array. That's right. Your Majesty, that person's speed was extremely fast. This subordinate was also unable to catch up to him. Immortal Emperor Yu Fan replied via transmission. Yu Fan, once your heavenly fan seal technique hit your opponent, wouldn't the fan seal be attached to the enemy's body? How come you were unable to catch up to him? Emperor Yu was very clear about this ultimate move of Immortal Emperor Yu Fan. When the fan seal was attached to the body, it would not emit the slightest bit of energy. Under normal circumstances, it was simply impossible for one to detect it with their immortal awareness. At the beginning, that person did not discover the fan seal. However, later on, the fan seal was still broken. Your Majesty, this subordinate has a very important matter to report. When Immortal Emperor Yu Fan thought of the Dark Star Realm, he started to worry. Oh, what is it? Emperor Yu stood motionlessly on the barren planet. That person who killed Yu Qingzi, I reckon. He should be someone from the Dark Star Realm. Immortal Emperor Yu Fan spoke out his deduction. Emperor Yu's expression slightly changed. Someone from the Dark Star Realm. How did you come to such a conclusion? Your Majesty, when that person was fighting against this subordinate, he actually used the gravitational domain. Your Majesty, you should also know about the gravitational domain. That is a special ability that belongs to the people of the Dark Star Realm. Immortal Emperor Yu Fan spoke out the reason. Emperor Yu's heart moved. When that Bing Lian reported to me, she said that person had once received a palm strike from you. However, he still acted as if nothing had happened and instead killed Yu Qingzi. Is that right? Emperor Yu instead asked about this matter. Immortal Emperor Yu Fan was puzzled as to why Emperor Yu did not mention the matter of the Dark Star Realm and instead talked about the battle. However, he still replied via transmission. Your Majesty, that is precisely the case. Quickly tell me, where is he right now? Emperor Yu immediately sent a transmission. Sensing Emperor Yu's impatience, Immortal Emperor Yu Fan immediately replied. Your Majesty, that person has already arrived in the Angelica de Hurica Galaxy. Angelica de Hurica Galaxy? Emperor Yu frowned. Your Majesty, when we were on the border planet of the Angelica de Hurica Galaxy, Cyan Emperor's immortal awareness passed through the cosmic space and directly sent a voice transmission to this subordinate, telling this subordinate to leave the Angelica de Hurica Galaxy. At the same time, he also told this subordinate to pass a message to Your Majesty. Immortal Emperor Yu Fan did not dare to conceal this matter. Your Majesty, Cyan Emperor said that he hoped that Your Majesty would not act against that person in his territory. As for how Your Majesty wants to deal with that person after leaving Cyan Emperor's territory, Cyan Emperor would not care. Immortal Emperor Yu Fan passed on the message. Emperor Yu, who originally wanted to immediately depart for the Angelica de Hurica Galaxy, stopped. His two thick eyebrows were deeply creased. Yu Fan, be at ease and stay in the Icewind sect. Wait for my orders. Soon after, Emperor Yu put away his transmission spiritual pearl. Cyan Emperor also wants to get involved. Emperor Yu carefully pondered in his heart. Cyan Emperor's strength was something that both Emperor Yu and Mystic Emperor deeply feared. 10 million years ago, when Emperor Yu and Mystic Emperor were still nobodies, Cyan Emperor was already a big shot of the immortal realm, a level 8 immortal emperor super expert. After all these years, no one would think that Cyan Emperor had not made any progress. Furthermore, Cyan Emperor from 10 million years ago was already a big shot of the immortal devil and demon realm. What about 10 million years later? Back then, when we were exploring the bewitching god temple, Cyan Emperor did not participate. Even when we sent people to the mortal realm to charge into the Yang realm, Cyan Emperor also did not participate. After all these years, it seems that Cyan Emperor did not have much of an interest in the bewitching god temple. Emperor Yu was unable to understand. Cyan Emperor, who did not have any interest in the bewitching god temple back then, would he make a move against Qin Yu now to seize the bewitching god painting? He shouldn't. Humph, that old fellow Qi Qing had received a treasure from me back then and owes me a favor. I have never asked him to return it. Now it's time for him to return it. Emperor Yu then used greater teleportation and disappeared from this barren planet. Times Angelica de Hurica Galaxy, Jade Wave Star. Qin Yu used greater teleportation and stepped onto this planet. His mood was very relaxed. Qin Yu leisurely walked in the endless mountain forests of the Jade Wave Star. Occasionally, immortals would fly past in the sky. "You're called Qin Yu, right?" An amiable voice sounded in Qin Yu's mind. Qin Yu was slightly startled. "Who are you?" Earlier, when he used greater teleportation, he had only emitted a little bit of his aura. After that, he immediately retracted his aura. However, he was still discovered by someone. This person's strength was definitely extraordinary. "You can call me Cyan Emperor." Qin Yu was slightly startled. The person who transmitted the voice was actually Cyan Emperor. Qin Yu knew that the Angelica de Hurica Galaxy was Cyan Emperor's territory. However, Cyan Emperor possessed many galaxies. His true home was also not in the Angelica de Hurica Galaxy. Qin Yu did not expect Cyan Emperor to be here at all. "Senior Cyan Emperor, is there something you need from me?" Qin Yu was still slightly polite. "If you don't mind, can you make a trip to the Jade Wave Star's Crescent Moon Bay? I have an old friend here who wants to meet you. And I also want to meet you." Cyan Emperor's voice was very amiable. Crescent Moon Bay. Qin Yu recalled the map of the Dragon Race. In the introduction of the Jade Wave Star on the Dragon Race's map, there was a sentence. Crescent Moon Bay, located in the depths of the Jade Wave Star's endless ocean. It was a quiet place where Cyan Emperor occasionally stayed. "Junior will come right away." Qin Yu immediately replied respectfully. At the same time, Qin Yu was also puzzled in his heart. "Cyan Emperor's old friend wants to meet me? Who is this old friend?" Chapter 373. Crescent Moon Bay, a crescent-shaped island in the depths of the Jade Wave Star's boundless ocean. As the residence of the Cyan Emperor, the layout of the Crescent Moon Bay was very special. Qin Yu used his flying technique and arrived above the Crescent Moon Bay in a blink of an eye. As expected, it's a good place. Looking from above, there were blue water, green land, and all kinds of natural flowers and plants. It was like a quiet and elegant world in a painting. Lowering his body, Qin Yu landed on the edge of the Crescent Moon Bay. "May I ask if you are fellow Qin Yu?" A white-clothed youth walked over with a face full of smiles. "I am indeed Qin Yu. I came here on the orders of Senior Cyan Emperor." Qin Yu said very politely. In the immortal devil and demon realm, Qin Yu did not want to provoke people. However, there were some people Qin Yu must provoke. Emperor Yu, Mystic Emperor. These were the last instructions of Immortal Emperor Yang. In addition to the death of his disciple, Qin Yu had decided that he must oppose Emperor Yu. As for the Cyan Emperor, Qin Yu did not want to oppose him. As expected, the Cyan Emperor has a lot of experts under him. A youth is actually a level 7 Immortal Emperor. Truly frightening. Qin Yu felt his heart tremble. A youth from the Crescent Moon Bay had such valiant strength. He was at the same level as the green-blooded sword immortal. The Cyan Emperor's power was truly too frightening. "Master is waiting for fellow Qin Yu beside the cold pond," the white-clothed youth immediately said. The smile on his face was very amiable. "Fellow Qin Yu, please follow me. Then I'll have to trouble you." Qin Yu followed behind the white-clothed youth. In the boundless ocean of the Jade Wave Star, the Crescent Moon Bay was naturally as small as a small boat. It was as if a wave could cover the entire island. However, the Crescent Moon Bay was actually very large. It had a circumference of nearly 1,000 miles. Following the white-clad young man, Qin Yu passes through a bamboo house, flies over an inner lake, passes through an ocean of pine trees on a small path, and finally walks around various pavilions all the way down. Following a winding corridor, they arrive at the side of a remote cold pond. The cold pond wasn't big, only about 7 to 8 meters wide and 100 meters long. However, the cold pond was extremely cold. Even with Qin Yu's strength, he still shivered when he came here. What was strange was that the cold pond didn't freeze even though the temperature was so cold. Instead, there were fish swimming in the cold pond. Beside the cold pond, there was only a man in a green robe holding a fishing rod, quietly fishing. "Don't disturb, master. Wait a moment." The white-clothed young man tugged at Qin Yu's sleeve and transmitted his voice to him. Qin Yu nodded and waited quietly beside the cold pond. "My name is Qin Yu. May I know who Dao brother is?" Qin Yu felt bored after waiting for a while. Thus, he began to converse with the white-robed youth via voice transmission. My apologies. I have yet to tell you my name. I am Qing Emperor's fourth disciple, Song Shi." The white-clothed young man said to Qin Yu with a slightly embarrassed smile. "It's been so long, yet I have yet to tell Dao brother Qin Yu my name. I am truly ashamed. Dao brother Song Shi, please don't mind." Qin Yu didn't mind at all. Currently, what Qin Yu wanted to know the most was, who exactly was the old friend of Qing Emperor? "Dao brother Song Shi. This time, Qing Emperor asked me to come to the Crescent Moon Bay to meet someone. Do you know who that person is?" Qin Yu asked. From Qin Yu's point of view, Song Shi was after all a level 7 immortal emperor. Presumably, he was Qing Emperor's right-hand man and should know about this matter. "Dao brother Qin Yu, I truly don't know about this matter. Master will naturally tell you later." Song Shi displayed a simple smile on his face. Qin Yu could only nod his head and quietly wait for Qing Emperor to finish his fishing. After about 2 hours. "Got it." The voice of the green-clothed man sounded. At the same time, he picked up the fishing rod. There was a 6-inch long fish with 3 silver lines on its back on the hook. "Since little brother Qin Yu has arrived, my luck has improved. I actually caught a silverlight fish today. Furthermore, it's a level 3 silverlight fish." The green-clothed man put down the fishing rod and turned around. The white-clothed young man smiled and said respectfully, "Normally, master would need several days to catch a silverlight fish. Today he caught one in a single day. It is indeed rare. Dao brother Qin Yu, this is my master." The white-clothed young man introduced to Qin Yu. The green-clothed man flipped his hand and took out a bamboo flute. He nimbly flipped the flute a few times in his hand. However, his gaze was fixed on Qin Yu. "You are Qin Yu." Seeing Qing Emperor's expression, he seemed to be very interested in Qin Yu. "Junior is indeed Qin Yu. Greetings, Senior Qing Emperor." Qin Yu cupped his hands and said. Qing Emperor clicked his tongue and said, "I remember that 10 years ago, there was a great battle on the Indigo Bay Starfield's Indigo Snowstar. During that battle, there were 2 people who shouted that immortal Emperor Thunderhammer wanted to kill Qin Yu." Qin Yu was startled. Could it be that Qing Emperor knew about him? After all, according to what Qin Yu knew, Qing Emperor did not send anyone to the mortal realm at that time. That Feng Yu and Xue Tianya were really interesting. They thought that they could easily kill you. Who would have thought that you would actually be able to escape with your life from their hands? Seeing you today, your reputation is indeed well-deserved." Qing Emperor looked at Qin Yu with admiration. Hearing Qing Emperor's praise, Qin Yu immediately said, "Junior's strength is still far from enough. Being able to escape with my life that day was also due to luck." "Luck? What is luck?" Qing Emperor shook his head. He did not agree with this point. No matter what it is, don't attribute it to luck. For example, opportunity. Even if an opportunity were to appear in front of a person, one must still grasp it. Immortal Emperor Anyang's luck was really good. From an ordinary immortal emperor, he became a great emperor of the immortal realm. However, how did he die in the end? Some people say that it was luck, but I say that he was not careful enough. Qing Emperor seemed to be very clear about the cause of immortal Emperor Anyang's death. In the bewitching God temple, no matter what, one must not be distracted in the slightest. When I was young, there were more than 1 or 2 people who died in the bewitching God temple because of a slight distraction. Qing Emperor seemed to be reminiscing about those years. Qin Yu listened carefully. When Qing Emperor was young, what era was that? Qing Emperor's younger generation should have either ascended to the divine realm, failed the divine tribulation and died, or died due to other reasons. Bewitching God temple, what was that? However, after Qin Yu heard Qing Emperor's words, he began to agree. That immortal Emperor Anyang always said that his luck was bad, but in reality, immortal Emperor Anyang obtained the bewitching God painting, 10,000 beasts atlas and so on. How could his luck be bad? Regardless of what it is, one must not lower one's guard. A poisonous insect from the divine realm, even a person from the divine realm would be injured, let alone an immortal emperor. Even if it's a dead poisonous insect, it's still not good to provoke. Young, who can you blame for courting death? Qing Emperor muttered to himself. Suddenly, Qing Emperor woke up and looked at Qin Yu. Oh, Qin Yu, I was too busy reminiscing about the past and forgot to talk to you. Sigh, when a person gets old, he likes to reminisce. Qin Yu was astonished. After meeting Qing Emperor for a while, Qin Yu discovered that this Qing Emperor was not very calm. Instead, he liked to joke and was very humorous. Let's not talk about that idiot Nayang anymore. Qin Yu, I'll bring you to meet someone. Qing Emperor said mysteriously. Senior Qing Emperor, who is the good friend you spoke of? Qin Yu was unable to suppress his curiosity and asked. Qing Emperor held the bamboo flute and twirled it a few times. His eyes narrowed into slits as he smiled. Who is it? It's my good friend, of course. Qin Yu didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He stopped asking. Songshi, quickly arrange a banquet. In the next few days, all of my good friends will be coming. If you neglect your seniors, be careful that I don't confine you for 1,000,000 years. Qing Emperor said to Songshi with a smile. Master's good friends. Hearing this, Songshi's face immediately lit up. This disciple will go arrange it immediately. Qin Yu, on the other hand, was shocked. Qing Emperor's good friends, Songshi, a level 7 immortal emperor, had to address them as seniors. Who were those good friends of his? Qin Yu had a feeling in his heart. Emperor, you shouldn't be among those good friends. Of course, this was only a feeling in Qin Yu's heart. There was no basis for it. Qin Yu, follow me. Qing Emperor smiled as he walked along the cold pond toward the distant winding corridor. Following behind the Cyan Emperor, Qin Yu did not say a single word. He was merely looking at the layout of the various buildings on the Crescent Moon Bay. As he continued to look at the Crescent Moon Bay, he felt that it was very natural and contained an exuberant vitality. Seeing these sceneries, Qin Yu's mood was also very good. Qin Yu, we're about to arrive. Qing Emperor finally spoke. He turned around and said to Qin Yu with a smile. Little brother Qin Yu, when you see that senior, you must know how to respect your seniors. That person is an extraordinary expert. Extraordinary expert. Qin Yu was slightly shocked. He wasn't shocked because that person was an expert. He was shocked because Qing Emperor actually called that person an extraordinary expert. This junior knows. Qin Yu nodded tactfully. Qing Emperor smiled in satisfaction. He brought Qin Yu to the side of a flower pond. Beside the flower pond, there was a path paved with bluestone. At the end of the flower pond, beside the bluestone path, there was a stone table and a few stone stools. At this moment, An old lady was chatting with a girl. Big sister Silver Flower. The Cyan Emperor cheerfully shouted from afar. That old lady turned around and saw Qing Emperor. She deliberately put on a stern expression and said, "You disrespectful old man. At least call me fellow Taoist Silver Flower. Big sister." Seeing this scene, Qin Yu's expression was normal. He was already familiar with Qing Emperor's character from the conversation just now. "Madam is also here." Qing Emperor saw the girl beside the old lady and said with a smile. That girl was wearing a purple gown. Her hair was coiled up and she naturally emitted a graceful and noble aura. The smile on her face made people feel that this noble lady was very easy to approach. "You're still like this even though outsiders are here." The purple-gowned noble lady sighed helplessly. "Big sister, ever since Qi Qing came out of seclusion a few days ago, his character became much more glib. What's going on?" The purple-gowned noble lady said helplessly to the old lady. "Madam." Qing Emperor's expression turned serious and became much more relaxed. "Madam, isn't it too much to describe me as glib? I just had a breakthrough and my state of mind changed. Alright, let's not talk about it anymore. Big sister Silver Flower, didn't you want to meet little brother Qin Yu? I've brought him over." Qing Emperor was always smiling amiably. Sometimes when he smiled, his eyes would even narrow. To be honest, Qin Yu liked Qing Emperor with this kind of character. "Qin Yu." That old lady looked at Qin Yu in surprise. "You are Qin Yu." At this moment, Qin Yu also understood that the reason why the Cyan Emperor wanted him to come over was because this old granny wanted to see him. Hearing how the Cyan Emperor addressed this old granny as Big Sis Yin Hua, Qin Yu thought of a person, Granny Yin Hua. "This junior is indeed Qin Yu." Qin Yu said respectfully. Qin Yu, Qin Yu." The old lady walked to Qin Yu's side and carefully sized up Qin Yu. Her eyes looked as though she wanted to see through Qin Yu for a long time. "Strange, strange, strange." The old lady sighed 3 times. "Strange." When Qin Yu heard this, he couldn't help but feel puzzled. Seeing the puzzled expression on Qin Yu's face, the old lady came to a realization and said with a smile, "Junior, to have such achievements after cultivating for such a short period of time, you can be considered as an outstanding genius. No wonder Yen praised you to me." Hearing the words Yen Qin Yu was certain. He immediately smiled and said respectfully, "So senior is Granny Yin Hua. You only need to call me Granny." Granny Yin Hua nodded and said with a smile, "I've heard others praise you many times. This time I had Qi Qing bring you here for me to take a look. And at first glance, you're not bad." Qin Yu felt sullen in his heart. Not bad. Qin Yu's cultivation time was already astonishingly fast. However, Granny Yin Hua only said, "Not bad." Qin Yu listened to Granny. Granny Yin Hua patted Qin Yu's shoulder. "Granny, please speak." Seeing Granny Yin Hua being so close to him, Qin Yu couldn't help but feel overwhelmed. Granny Yin Hua sighed and said, "Let's not talk about that girl Yen. She doesn't cultivate all day long. Since leaving this time, she hasn't come back to see me even once. With her temperament, I don't have much hope for her. Seeing a young man like you, I want to tell you, you must cultivate seriously. No matter where you are, only with strength will you have authority. I've also heard about your recent actions from Qi Qing. Actually, you're a bit reckless." Granny Yin Hua sighed. "Don't think that you won't die just because you have a divine armor. The black frozen snow is only a low-quality divine armor. With your strength, there are no less than 10 people in the immortal devil and demon realm who can break through this divine armor." Hearing those words, Qin Yu was extremely shocked. Not to mention how this Granny Yin Hua knew that he had the divine armor black frozen snow, but according to what Granny Yin Hua said, in the entire immortal devil and demon realm, there were no less than 10 people who could break through a divine armor. One's own strength is the most important. Cultivate properly. In this immortal devil and demon realm, it's rare to have so many talents. Granny Yin Hua sighed. Yes, this junior will definitely remember. Qin Yu was indeed moved. In his heart, he also wanted to reach the late-stage black hole realm in one go so that he could open the third layer of the 10,000 Beasts Atlas. However, in the depths of his heart, he also wanted to see his brother. Qin Yu only thought that since he possessed the Zhonglan's realm, it would be no problem for him to pass through the immortal realm. Chapter 374. Immortal Realm, Plate Egg Starfield's Jade Wave Star, Crescent Moon Bay. Qin Yu was currently conversing with Granny Yin Hua. Granny Yin Hua carefully looked at Qin Yu a couple times. She then smiled and said, "Actually, from the way I see it, having you suffer a couple more hardships is also a great benefit. Growing through the setbacks of battles is much faster than training in seclusion training." Big Sister Yin Hua's words are very reasonable. Back then when I was young, I cultivated to level 8 Immortal Emperor in one go. Practically all of it was through fighting and killing with others. That speed is much faster than the cultivation of these years. Cyan Emperor sighed and said. Qin Yu was like a well-behaved junior, nodding his head in agreement. Qing, you are also a person with great fortune. If it was someone else, it would also be impossible for them to be like you. Granny Yin Hua said with a smile. Cyan Emperor smiled slightly complacently. That's because I know how to be satisfied. Qin Yu quietly listened at the side. He could tell that the conversation between Granny Yin Hua and Cyan Emperor involved the real reason why Cyan Emperor was stuck at level 8 Immortal Emperor for so long. However, Qin Yu was still unable to tell what the reason was. However, Qin Yu was certain of one thing. Cyan Emperor being stuck at level 8 Immortal Emperor for so long was not because he was unlucky, but rather because he was very fortunate. Qin Yu, how is the relationship between that girl Yen and that Jun Luoyu? Granny Yin Hua turned her head and said to Qin Yu. Her eyes were filled with doting. That was doting towards that girl Jiang Yan. Qin Yu smiled and said, Brother Luoyu has already returned to his hometown to cultivate in seclusion. As for Yen she has also followed him. The relationship between the two of them, I'm also unable to explain it clearly. Jiang Yan, Jun Luoyu. Qin Yu really did not know how to explain it in his heart. That Jun Luoyu only remembered his wife. As for Jiang Yan, he was only concerned about her at most. There was no love at all. As for Jiang Yan, she actually did not bother about it and only stayed by Jun Luoyu's side. Sigh, what an ill-fated relationship. Granny Yin Hua smiled bitterly. Back then, that girl wanted to come to this world to broaden her horizons and begged me many times. In the end, I still agreed. Who would have thought that the moment she stepped into the mortal world, she would be entangled with this Jun Luoyu? Granny Yin Hua also appeared helpless. The purple-robed noblewoman beside Granny Yin Hua consoled her. Big sister, don't mind it too much. Just treat it as Yen Er's mortal cultivation. We can only think of it this way. Granny Yin Hua nodded. Immediately after, Granny Yin Hua smiled and glanced at Qin Yu. This time, when I came to your Crescent Moon Bay, the thing that made me the happiest was seeing little brother Qin Yu. Indeed, you have potential and hope. It's just that your current strength is still too weak. Granny, I will work hard to cultivate. Qin Yu felt a little strange. Even if this Granny Yin Hua knew that he was acquainted with Jiang Yan and might be curious about him, she shouldn't exaggerate to the point that the happiest thing about coming to Crescent Moon Bay was to see him. Wasn't she thinking too highly of him? In the past, he had never seen Granny Yin Hua. Qin Yu, stay in Crescent Moon Bay for a few more days. In these few days, Qi Qing's old friends will be coming. You should also meet them. Granny Yin Hua smiled and said to Qin Yu. Her eyes were filled with kindness. Big sister Yin Hua. Cyan Emperor looked at Granny Yin Hua in shock. Others might not know the identity of Cyan Emperor's old friends, but Cyan Emperor himself naturally knew. Knowing the identity of his friends, Cyan Emperor was naturally curious as to why Granny Yinhua would say that. After all, his friends were not people that ordinary people could meet. Granny Yinhua glanced at Cyan Emperor and said with a faint smile, "Qin Yu is qualified to meet them." Hearing Granny Yinhua's words, Cyan Emperor no longer refuted. He turned his head and looked at Qin Yu. With a smile he said, "Little brother Qin Yu, stay here for a few more days." From the conversation between Cyan Emperor and Granny Yinhua, Qin Yu was able to deduce a few things. Clearly, from Cyan Emperor's point of view, he should not be qualified to meet those people. Qin Yu smiled and said, "Seniors, this junior shall not disturb you. No need. You can just come when the time comes," Granny Yinhua said directly. Immediately after, she smiled at Qin Yu. "If you don't come when the time comes, Granny will be angry. Qin Yu, since big sister Yinhua has asked you to come, just come." At this moment, Cyan Emperor also urged Qin Yu. Qin Yu felt some warmth in his heart. He immediately nodded and said, "It is this junior's fortune to be able to meet those seniors. When the time comes, this junior will definitely be there." Times soon after, Qin Yu was led by a servant to his residence. Cyan Emperor's wife had also left. As for Cyan Emperor and Granny Yinhua, they were chatting beside the flower pond. Their target was Qin Yu. "Big sister Yinhua, is it appropriate for you to allow Qin Yu to come?" Cyan Emperor asked back. "Even if this Qin Yu's cultivation speed is fast, and after 1,000 or 10,000 years, he might be qualified to be my equal. However, the current him is still far from being strong enough." Granny Yinhua, however, did not say anything. She merely stood up and raised her head to look at the sky. Her gaze seemed to be able to pierce through the atmosphere of the Jade Wave Star and through the endless void. "Qi Qing, there are still many things that you do not know." After a long while, Granny Yinhua's voice resounded in the large garden. Cyan Emperor was slightly stunned. "Not to mention the future him, even the current Qin Yu is qualified to meet those old friends of yours. You will understand in the future." After Granny Yinhua finished speaking, she stood up and walked towards her residence. Cyan Emperor looked at Granny Yinhua's back. Soon after, he turned his head and looked towards the direction of Qin Yu's residence. He could not help but frown slightly. In the Crescent Moon Bay, from Cyan Emperor, Granny Yinhua, to any random maidservant, everyone was extremely friendly and amiable. During the past few days in the Crescent Moon Bay, Qin Yu had spent his days very comfortably. During these few days, he had also met Cyan Emperor and Granny Yinhua once or twice. "Haha, Qi, your old friends are here. Why are you still not coming out?" A hearty laugh resounded in the sky above the Crescent Moon Bay. Old friends. Qin Yu, who was talking to Song Shi, could not help but pause. He raised his head and looked towards the source of the voice. A golden figure slowly descended from the sky. Although the golden figure was not far away from Qin Yu and its speed was not fast, Qin Yu was still unable to clearly see the true appearance of the golden figure. "Ah, Qin Yu, I have to go out and busy myself. Let's chat again in the future," Song Shi hurriedly said to Qin Yu. Qin Yu knew that Song Shi was in charge of receiving Cyan Emperor's old friends. Therefore, Qin Yu did not stop her and said with a smile, "Song Shi, you can go and busy yourself." Just as Qin Yu finished speaking, "Young Master Qin Yu. His Majesty wants young master to go to the south side of the cold lake." A maidservant appeared in front of the door of Qin Yu's residence. "I'll be there right away." Qin Yu immediately stood up. He knew that Granny Yinhua had told him to go and meet Cyan Emperor's old friends. And now, he should be going to meet the person with the golden figure. After staying in the Crescent Moon Bay for a few days, Qin Yu was very familiar with the path. He followed the corridor and soon arrived at the cold lake where Cyan Emperor had fished. The cold lake was extremely cold and there was a thin layer of fog floating around it. The ground on the south side of the cold lake was made of a very soft black grass. At the same time, There were 2 stone tables and more than 10 stone stools placed everywhere. There were some unique delicacies on the stone tables. At that moment, there were 3 people on the south side of the cold lake: Granny Yin Hua, Cyan Emperor, and that golden figure. Even Cyan Emperor's wife was not present. The maidservant stopped a distance away from the cold lake. "Qin Yu, right? Come quickly." Granny Yin Hua turned her head and looked over. She chuckled as she called out. Instantly, Cyan Emperor and that golden figure turned around and looked over. Only now did Qin Yu see clearly that the person with the golden figure was a white-haired old man wearing a golden robe. Of course, Qin Yu understood that a cultivator's age could not be determined from their appearance. Some immortal emperors had the appearance of a youth, but in reality, they were tens of millions of years old. To a cultivator, age did not have much meaning. Strength was the basis to determine whether one was a senior or a junior. "Come, Qin Yu. Let me introduce you." Granny Yin Hua chuckled as she pulled Qin Yu's hand. As for Qin Yu, he was already carefully looking at the golden-robed white-haired old man. Awe-inspiring. This golden-robed white-haired old man did not even need to put on an act. Even with a slight smile, he had a kind of awe-inspiring from his bones and soul. "Qin Yu, this is the current patriarch of the Dragon Clan," Granny Yin Hua said with a smile. Qin Yu's heart skipped a beat. It was actually the Dragon Emperor of the Dragon Clan, the father of his big brother, Ao Wuming. The Dragon Emperor Ao Feng had an extremely high reputation within the Dragon Clan. He had 2 sons. One was a 5-clawed golden dragon, while the other was a variation super divine beast, Blood Dragon. This had never happened in the history of the Dragon Clan. "Junior Qin Yu greets Senior Ao." Qin Yu immediately said respectfully, "Dragon Emperor." Just the strength of the Dragon Clan was comparable to the entire immortal realm. One could imagine the status of the Dragon Emperor. It was something that even Emperor Yu, Cyan Emperor, and Mystic Emperor could not compare to. The Dragon Emperor looked at Qin Yu deeply for a long time. "You are Qin Yu, the brother of that unfilial son of mine." Unfilial son. Qin Yu was slightly shocked. Ao Wuming was actually an unfilial son in the eyes of the Dragon Emperor. "Oh Feng, how many years has it been? You still care about this? I think Wuming is a pretty good kid. Isn't it just marrying a white fox as his wife? What's the big deal?" Cyan Emperor said discontentedly. The Dragon Emperor's expression turned ugly. "Chi-Ching, what's the big deal? Do you know how noble the bloodline of a 5-clawed golden dragon is? A child of a 5-clawed golden dragon, even if it's not a 5-clawed golden dragon, it's still a golden dragon." However, this unfilial son of Wuming did not marry a woman from the Dragon Clan. Instead, he married a white fox. Isn't this a waste of a 5-clawed golden dragon's bloodline? Hearing that, Qin Yu suddenly realized. The children of a 5-clawed golden dragon are usually extraordinary. One can tell just by looking at the Dragon Emperor's 2 sons. One is a super divine beast, and the other is a variation super divine beast. Of course, the Dragon Emperor was a bit special. However, the children of a 5-clawed golden dragon were mostly golden dragons. However, Ao Wuming was currently marrying a white fox. He married a non-dragon. Usually, when a dragon marries a non-dragon, the child will not be a purebred dragon. It's possible that the child will be a dragon. However, it's also possible that the child will be a white fox. Old dragon, oh old dragon, your requirements for your own child are truly too harsh. You even have to care about who he marries. Following the sound of an amiable and gentle voice, a rainbow light appeared beside them. This rainbow light turned into a person, a beautiful woman. She emitted an indescribable nobility. When people looked at her, they couldn't help but feel the desire to submit to her. When she looked at you, you would feel warmth. Who is this person? Qin Yu was puzzled. Qin Yu's immortal awareness was very sensitive. However, the people before him, Qin Yu felt a vague feeling. The 4 people before him, Qin Yu was actually unable to see through any of them. This included the legendary level 8 Immortal Emperor, Cyan Emperor. Qin Yu was able to sense Emperor Yu and Xue Tianya's strength. However, he was unable to see through Cyan Emperor and the others. You've also come. I can't control that unfilial son anymore. After all these years, he actually never returned to see me even once. The Dragon Emperor shook his head helplessly. Senior Ao, Big Brother Wu Ming and sister-in-law Lian Zhu are still very loving. You don't have to force him too much. Qin Yu advised. Senior Ao, you can also be considered as my son's brother. In the future you can just call me uncle. The Dragon Emperor said to Qin Yu with a smile. Qin Yu was startled. However, he still said, Qin Yu greets uncle. However, Qin Yu was a bit shocked. This Dragon Emperor's attitude towards him seemed to be a bit too good. The Dragon Emperor nodded with a smile. You call me uncle. In that case, in the future when you see that unfilial son Wushu, you can also call him Big Brother. Wushu. Qin Yu thought of a person. That variation super divine beast. Blood Dragon Ao Wushu. Why did this Dragon Emperor suddenly mention Ao Wushu? I've never seen him before. Cunning. Cyan Emperor laughed loudly. Extremely cunning. That red-clothed woman also had a smile on her face. Hearing Cyan Emperor and the red-clothed woman's words, the Dragon Emperor's face slightly reddened. He immediately said, Qin Yu, you still don't know who this person is, right? Let me introduce her. This is the Bird Clan's super expert, Phoenix Emperor Ni. Emperor Ni, the Bird Clan's super divine beast Phoenix, a level 9 demon emperor level super divine beast. Her strength was definitely at the peak of the immortal devil and demon realm. Junior greets Senior Emperor Ni. Qin Yu immediately said. He truly did not expect this red-clothed woman to be Emperor Ni. In Qin Yu's heart, a level 9 demon emperor level super divine beast could definitely be called the #1 person in the immortal devil and demon realm. Emperor Ni nodded to Qin Yu with a smile on her face. Emperor Ni, you should know this person, right? The Dragon Emperor smiled and pointed to Granny Yin Hua. It's big sister Yin Hua, Emperor Ni said with a smile. Last time, I only saw Big Sister's appearance through Big Sister's great ability. However, I've never seen Big Sister's true appearance. This is the first time we've met. This meeting is also bestowed upon us by Qi Qing's success in cultivation, Granny Yin Hua said with a smile. Otherwise, if we were to meet again, who knows how long we'd have to wait. Qin Yu's heart twitched. A level 9 demon emperor level super divine beast revered Granny Yin Hua this much. Qin Yu was puzzled. Who exactly was the #1 expert in the immortal devil and demon realm? A level 9 demon emperor level super divine beast, the mysterious Granny Yin Hua, or the Dragon Emperor? I still haven't congratulated Brother Qi Qing. Brother Qi Qing had bitterly trained for tens of thousands of years and finally succeeded. In the entire immortal devil and demon realm, Brother Qi Qing could be considered as the #1 expert in the immortal devil and demon realm. The Dragon Emperor sighed. Hearing those words, Qin Yu was once again stunned. A level 8 immortal emperor level Cyan Emperor was actually able to become the #1 expert in the immortal devil and demon realm. Confused. Qin Yu was completely confused about the strength of these people. Chapter 375. Old Dragon, you truly wish for the world to be in chaos. I, Qi Qing, am not as gifted as your dragon clan, nor am I born from nature like Emperor Ni. Even if I have some luck, I am still far from being #1 in the immortal devil and demon realm. Laughed Cyan Emperor. Emperor Ni also laughed and scolded. This old dragon, as the emperor of the dragon clan, who knows how many treasures he has that we don't know about. At most, our Phoenix clan only had 2 in the immortal devil and demon realm. And now there's only me. After I pass the divine tribulation and ascend, we won't even be able to see phoenixes in the immortal devil and demon realm. As for the Dragon Clan, they're a densely packed group. Hearing this, Qin Yu laughed in his heart. However, he was able to guess that as the Grand Dragon Emperor of the Dragon Clan, how could he not have exceptional treasures? A level 9 Demon Emperor Super Divine Beast, the Dragon Emperor of the Dragon Clan, the Cyan Emperor who had been a level 8 Immortal Emperor for countless years, and the mysterious Granny Yin Hua. None of them could be looked down upon. In the past, when we met, there was still a Gold Punishment Lord. However, the Gold Punishment Lord is no longer here, said Emperor and I suddenly with a sigh. That's right. Gold Punishment Lord. I still remember the scene when the four of us met, sighed Cyan Emperor. Qin Yu was surprised. Gold Punishment Lord, who was that? The Dragon Emperor noticed the confusion on Qin Yu's face. He smiled and said, Qin Yu, it seems that you still don't know about the Gold Punishment Lord. However, you should know about the Dark Star Realm, right? Qin Yu nodded. Between the Immortal Realm and the Bird Clan's territory, in the northeast region of the entire Immortal, Devil and Demon Realm, was the legendary Dark Star Realm. The Dark Star Realm has 3 great sovereigns. These 3 great sovereigns are inherited from generation to generation. These 3 great sovereigns are respectively the Gold Punishment Lord, Black Flame Lord and White Profound Lord, explained the Dragon Emperor. Shocking. Qin Yu's heart suddenly trembled. He finally knew who the Black Flame Lord and White Profound Lord were. They were actually 2 of the 3 great sovereigns of the Dark Star Realm. The Dragon Monarch continued. The Dark Star Realm's 3 great sovereigns have been passed down from generation to generation. Among them, the Gold Punishment Lord is the leader, while the Black Flame Lord and the White Profound Lord are his assistants. The 3 great sovereigns manage the entire Dark Star Realm together. The previous generation's Gold Punishment Lord was a close friend of me, Emperor Enai and Emperor Qing. The 4 of us would frequently gather together. Experts were lonely. At Dragon Emperor's level, only the 4 of them could communicate with each other on equal terms. Therefore, the 4 of them all knew how great the others were. Cyan Emperor nodded and said, Among the 4 of us, the Gold Punishment Lord's strength is the strongest. He is also our big brother. Merely. The Gold Punishment Lord has already passed the Divine Tribulation and ascended to the Divine Realm. Ascend to the God Realm. Qin Yu was slightly surprised. Although he had always heard of people who had passed the God Tribulation and ascended to the God Realm, this was the first time he had heard of someone who had actually ascended to the God Realm. The Gold Punishment Lord, the leader of the Dark Star Realm's 3 great sovereigns. When it comes to the Divine Tribulation, only the 3 great sovereigns of the Dark Star Realm are the most powerful. Regardless of which generation of sovereigns, I don't think they have ever failed. As for the Immortal Realm, Devil Realm and even the Demon Realm, the probability of failure is extremely high. Cyan Emperor sighed. Senior Cyan Emperor, you're saying that none of them have ever failed? Qin Yu found it a bit hard to believe. That's right. The 3 great sovereigns of the Dark Star Realm, at least as far as I know, regardless of which generation of sovereigns, none of them have ever failed. Cyan Emperor nodded. Qin Yu couldn't help but smack his lips. To be able to successfully pass the Divine Tribulation, it also signified their strength. Every generation of the 3 great sovereigns of the Dark Star Realm had successfully passed the Divine Tribulation. From this, one could imagine how powerful the 3 great sovereigns of the Dark Star Realm were. Furthermore, the previous generation's Gold Punishment Lord was said to be their big brother by Cyan Emperor and them. To be considered as their big brother by Cyan Emperor and them, one could imagine how powerful he was. Although this Dark Star Realm only occupies 1/10 of the Immortal, Devil and Demon Realm, its true strength is likely to be frighteningly powerful. Qin Yu couldn't help but sigh in his heart. Times Granny Yin Hua, Cyan Emperor, Emperor Enai and the Dragon Emperor were chatting. Some of the so-called secrets of the Immortal, Devil and Demon Realm were casually mentioned by them. As for the Dragon Emperor, he seemed to be especially good to Qin Yu and would frequently explain things to Qin Yu. As the 4 of them were chatting, Qin Yu didn't find it appropriate to ask too much. Frequently, he would have things that he was confused about. After receiving the Dragon Emperor's careful explanation, Qin Yu also had a good impression of the Dragon Emperor. After hearing so much, Qin Yu completely understood. The reason why the Dragon Emperor and Emperor Ni had come this time was to congratulate the Saiyan Emperor. The main reason was because the Saiyan Emperor had finally succeeded after so many years of bitter training. As for what he had bitterly trained for, Qin Yu wasn't too sure either. Qi Qing, when do you plan to undergo the divine tribulation? The Dragon Emperor suddenly asked. When? Saiyan Emperor pondered for a moment. I haven't thought about it carefully yet. However, it shouldn't be too long. To be honest, in all these years, what I wanted to do the most was to succeed in my training and undergo the divine tribulation. However, now that I've succeeded in my training, I'm somewhat hesitant. Saiyan Emperor laughed at himself. Qin Yu was puzzled in his heart. Could one also decide when to undergo the divine tribulation? According to Qin Yu's knowledge, when undergoing the divine tribulation, one would usually automatically sense when to undergo the divine tribulation. As for when to undergo the divine tribulation, that was decided by the heavens. How could the person undergoing the divine tribulation decide for themselves? However, Qin Yu didn't ask. He only quietly listened. Qi Qing, perhaps you'll undergo the divine tribulation earlier than me. Emperor Ni said with a smile. Emperor Ni was also a level 9 demon emperor. Merely, she still hadn't sensed when to undergo the divine tribulation. Granny Yin Hua laughed and said, Qi Qing has stayed in the immortal devil and demon realm for too long. There's not much meaning for him to continue to stay here. It's also good for him to undergo the divine tribulation earlier and ascend to the divine realm. That's true. The Dragon Emperor agreed. Halfway through the conversation, Qin Yu left. The main reason was because towards the end of the conversation, they were all trivial matters between friends. As an outsider and a member of the younger generation, it wasn't good for Qin Yu to listen. Granny Yin Hua, the Dragon Emperor and the others also knew that Qin Yu felt awkward. Thus, they had Qin Yu leave earlier. In this banquet, Qin Yu didn't eat anything. However, he learned quite a lot of things. After returning to his residence, Qin Yu's heart was still unable to calm down. Dragon Emperor, Emperor Ni and them ought to be the highest level group of people in the entire immortal, devil and demon realm. Qin Yu's heart was filled with shock. That group of people were too powerful. Qin Yu had a feeling that, if any one of those 4 people wanted to deal with him, they would be able to do so. As for the divine armor, Granny Yin Hua had once said that there were no less than 10 people in the immortal, devil and demon realm that could break through his divine armor. From Qin Yu's point of view, these 4 people were definitely able to break through his divine armor and directly cause the black hole in his body to collapse. These are true experts. The gap between me and them is still very large. Qin Yu heaved a long sigh. These 4 people, even the level 9 immortal emperor hidden Emperor Lin Yin. Qin Yu also felt that Lin Yin was inferior to these 4 people. Times as the core planet of the Angelica de Hurica galaxy, the transportation system of the Jade Wave Star was very developed. There were also a lot of interstellar teleportation arrays. Among them, there were even 3 interstellar teleportation arrays that led from the Jade Wave Star to other galaxies. These 3 interstellar teleportation arrays led to the north, west and east of the Angelica de Hurica galaxy respectively. The galaxy to the west of the Angelica de Hurica galaxy was called the Blood River Galaxy. This Blood River Galaxy was long in shape. The outside of the galaxy was covered with a layer of faint red color. It was like a blood-red river. The interstellar teleportation array that led from the Jade Wave Star to the Blood River Galaxy was precisely the Reef Yellow Star. Blood River Galaxy, on the Reef Yellow Star. The surging river rushed toward the north. Above the surging river, there were 3 people standing in the air. The person leading them was a purple-gowned Emperor Yu. Behind him stood 2 white-clothed youths. An enormous immortal awareness was transmitted over from the direction of the Angelica de Hurica galaxy. It passed through the cosmic space between the 2 galaxies and directly covered the entire Reef Yellow Star. Brother Qi Qing's immortal awareness is very powerful. Emperor Yu's immortal awareness also extended over and came in contact with the other party's immortal awareness. Brother Fengyu, may I know why you sent me a transmission? Saiyan Emperor asked. Before this, Emperor Yu had just used his transmission spiritual pearl to send him a transmission. Because the distance between the two of them was not far, they used their immortal awareness to communicate. The distance between the two galaxies was not far. However, the distance between the two galaxies was still very frightening. Yu Fan has already told me everything. I'm merely very surprised. Brother Qi Qing actually knew that person was Qin Yu. Emperor Yu had a smile on his face as he transmitted his words through his immortal awareness. If Brother Fengyu knows, then it's not surprising that I know as well. Saiyan Emperor laughed. Emperor Yu cursed in his heart. Saiyan Emperor, this old fellow, had concealed his strength too deeply. Even after all these years, Emperor Yu and Mystic Emperor were still unable to see through exactly how much strength Saiyan Emperor had concealed. However, even the portion that Emperor Yu and Mystic Emperor discovered was already frightening enough. Brother Qi Qing, the reason why I came to find you this time around is because of this Qin Yu. Emperor Yu directly spoke of his intention. You're talking about Qin Yu. Could it be that you want the bewitching god painting? Saiyan Emperor asked instead of answering. Emperor Yu was startled. Only at this moment did he realize that Saiyan Emperor actually knew this much. At this moment, Emperor Yu became alert. He did not believe that Saiyan Emperor would not care about the bewitching god painting. So Brother Qi Qing already knew everything. That's right, I want the bewitching god painting. You also know that this divine tribulation is very hard to pass. If I'm not careful, hundreds of millions of years of bitter cultivation would all turn into bubbles. No matter what, I want to make myself more confident in order to increase the possibility of passing the divine tribulation. Emperor Yu said everything very honestly. Saiyan Emperor was silent for a long time. I understand what you're thinking. Saiyan Emperor said after some consideration. It's just that I have a good impression of this little brother Qin Yu. If he were to be killed by you like this, then... Brother Qi Qing. Emperor Yu interrupted Saiyan Emperor. Brother Qi Qing, I don't think you've ever met Qin Yu before. Even if you have a good impression of him now, so what? You didn't know him before, and you've only known him for a few days. You shouldn't have such strong feelings for him. Could it be that Brother Qi Qing also took a fancy to the bewitching god painting? Emperor Yu asked. Bewitching god painting. Fengyu, when Yang possessed the bewitching god painting, when you, Mystic Emperor, and him went to the bewitching god temple, did I go? When you all invited the Blood Devil Emperor and the others, did I go? I don't think I went even once. You're saying that I took a fancy to the bewitching god painting. Isn't that a bit too laughable? Saiyan Emperor was a bit angry. Emperor, you naturally knew about these deeds of Saiyan Emperor. The top experts of the immortal devil and demon realm had entered the bewitching god temple several times before. However, this Saiyan Emperor actually did not go even once. At least, Emperor Yu and them had never heard of Saiyan Emperor entering the bewitching god temple. Unless Saiyan Emperor sneaked in by himself. Emperor Yu simply did not believe that Saiyan Emperor would be so foolish to not go in with everyone, and instead take the risk by himself. Brother Qi Qing, let's say that I was wrong. However, why are you protecting Qin Yu like this? Emperor Yu was a bit anxious in his heart. If Saiyan Emperor was determined to protect Qin Yu, then it would truly be difficult for him to kill Qin Yu. Emperor Yu clenched his teeth and said via voice transmission. Brother Qi Qing, I remember that you still owe me a favor. Back then you said that if there's anything that I need you to do, you'll help me with your life. Right now You want me to kill Qin Yu? That's absolutely impossible. Saiyan Emperor said resolutely and decisively. I owe you a favor. You can ask me to do other things, but killing him is absolutely impossible. I'm not asking you to kill him. I only want you to not obstruct me. Emperor Yu continued. How about this? I will definitely not attack him in the territory of the Angelica de Hurica galaxy. However, when he exits the Angelica de Hurica galaxy, you must immediately tell me. As long as you tell me, this favor will be repaid. How about it? It was very rare for an expert like Cyan Emperor to owe a favor. Back then, Cyan Emperor needed a treasure. When Emperor Yu found out about it, he was instead overjoyed. He thought of all sorts of ways to obtain that treasure and give it to Cyan Emperor, also that Cyan Emperor would owe him a favor. Now that he had to use this favor, Emperor Yu was a bit reluctant. Seeing that Cyan Emperor was still silent, Emperor Yu continued. I only want you to inform me. You don't have to attack him. You don't even have to attack him in your territory. Then, all right. Cyan Emperor finally agreed. When Qin Yu exits the interstellar conveying array, I will tell you. However, you must remember this. No matter what, you cannot kill him in my territory. As for how you attack him and whether or not you succeed, it's none of my business. Good, it's a deal. Emperor Yu was overjoyed. That's it. Cyan Emperor retrieved his omnipresent immortal awareness. Emperor Yu had a slight smile on his face. One of the two white-clothed youths behind him asked, Your Majesty, is it a success? Cyan Emperor, he will definitely do what he says. Emperor Yu was very confident. Suddenly Emperor Yu asked, That's right, of the immortal emperors under my command, how many have arrived at the 3 assembly points? The white-clothed youth on the left said respectfully, Currently, 16 immortal emperors have arrived at the 3 assembly planets. The other immortal emperors are still on the way. I reckon that within a day, there will definitely be 48 immortal emperors arriving. Very good. At this moment, Emperor Yu's mood was very good. The famous immortal emperors under Emperor Yu's command were the 18 emperors and the 36 lords. At the same time, there were also many immortal emperors that were not very famous. However, their strength was also very valiant. Qin Yu, this time I have set up an inescapable net. I would like to see how you are going to escape. Emperor Yu was extremely confident. Chapter 376. Angelica de Hurica Galaxy, Jade Wave Star. In a courtyard of the Crescent Moon Bay. At this moment, Cyan Emperor was anxiously arguing with Granny Yinhua. Big sister Yinhua, why did you make me promise him? Cyan Emperor was a bit angry and anxious. At the same time, he was also puzzled. Big sister Yinhua, now that Feng Yu has set up an inescapable net, it would be very difficult for Qin Yu to safely escape. Not only did you not allow me to stop him, you instead made me promise to pass him a message. When the two of them were conversing earlier, the contents of their conversation were all transmitted to Granny Yinhua's mind by Cyan Emperor. Emperor Yu requested Cyan Emperor to not obstruct him from killing Qin Yu. He also requested Cyan Emperor to inform him when Qin Yu left the Jade Wave Star. At that time, Cyan Emperor was prepared to refuse. However, Granny Yinhua, who was beside him, requested Cyan Emperor to agree. Cyan Emperor believed Granny Yinhua and thus agreed. You don't have to worry about this, Granny Yinhua said with a smile. If Qin Yu does not experience some setbacks, how could he become a talent? Furthermore, if he is unable to even break through Emperor Yu's trap, he cannot blame anyone for his death. Within Granny Yinhua's tone, there was disdain towards Emperor Yu's trap. That's right. Young people should experience more setbacks and properly temper themselves. There are also benefits. Hearing Granny Yinhua say this, Cyan Emperor did not say any more. The reason why Cyan Emperor had such a good attitude towards Qin Yu was mainly because of Granny Yinhua. If it wasn't for Granny Yinhua paying attention to Qin Yu, how could Cyan Emperor be so good to a total stranger? When even Granny Yinhua said this, Cyan Emperor would naturally not say any more. Big sister Yinhua, I will take my leave now and not disturb you any longer, Cyan Emperor said with a smile. Granny Yinhua lightly nodded with her back facing Cyan Emperor. Cyan Emperor then quietly left the courtyard. In the courtyard, Granny Yinhua's gaze was looking at the boundless void. This Qin Yu's cultivation speed seems to be pretty good. However, why can't I see anything astonishing about him? Granny Yin Hua had a trace of doubt on her face. I hope that he will not disappoint me. Qin Yu stayed in the Crescent Moon Bay for a few more days. During these few days, Qin Yu met the Dragon Emperor, Empress Anai, Azure Supreme the Arch, and Granny Yin Hua a few times. Among them, he met the Dragon Emperor the most. It was mainly because the Dragon Emperor took the initiative to talk to him. At this moment, the Azure Emperor, Dragon Emperor, Emperor Anai, Granny Yin Hua, Song Shi, and the others were sending Qin Yu off. Today, Qin Yu had finally decided to leave. Nephew Qin Yu, please stay for a few more days. Sovereign Anai and I will be staying here for a while. Don't be in such a hurry to leave, the Dragon Emperor said to Qin Yu in a slightly unhappy tone. Uncle, I really have something important to do, Qin Yu said helplessly. From their expressions and tones, outsiders could clearly feel the closeness between them. Over the past few days, the Dragon Emperor had been addressing Qin Yu as Nephew Qin Yu. Or, Nephew Qin Yu. Old dragon, that's enough. A child still needs to go out and adventure, said Emperor Anai with a smile. The few people present all knew why the Dragon Emperor was so good to Qin Yu. Furthermore, it was a bit excessive. When they thought of the reason, they all laughed in their hearts. Qin Yu, go out and adventure properly. I hope that the next time Granny sees you, your strength will have greatly improved. Granny Yin Hua said to Qin Yu directly. Qin Yu immediately said respectfully, Granny, rest assured. Qin Yu will definitely not slack off. Qin Yu was able to feel the requirement of strength that Granny Yin Hua had for Qin Yu. Senior Azure Emperor, Senior Emperor Anai, Uncle, Granny, Song Shi, I will be leaving now. Farewell. Qin Yu cupped his hands and said. Soon after, Qin Yu's body turned into a ray of light and streaked across the horizon. Finally, he disappeared into the horizon. Blood River Galaxy. Reef Yellow Star. Emperor Yu, who was wearing a purple gown, stood on the peak of a lone mountain. He was currently looking towards the east, towards the direction of the Angelica de Hurica Galaxy. Mu Yen, are the preparations done everywhere? Said Emperor Yu indifferently. The yellow-gowned old man behind him said respectfully, Your Majesty, there are 3 conveying arrays on the Jade Wave Star that lead to other galaxies. The other 2 planets that these 3 conveying arrays lead to have 16 immortal emperors gathered there. As for the 3rd planet, the Reef Yellow Star, there are over 20 immortal emperors gathered there. There are definitely enough people to set up the Great Formation Arrays. Very good. Emperor Yu's eyes shined. Pass down the order. Have the 48 immortal emperors that are setting up the formation arrays on the 3 planets get ready. As long as they receive my order, they are to immediately activate the Sealing Element Refining Flames Array. This time, no matter what, we must capture Qin Yu, said Emperor Yu resolutely and decisively. Yes, Your Majesty. A trace of excitement appeared on the yellow-gowned old man's face. At the same time, a transmission spiritual pearl appeared in the yellow-gowned old man's hand. He began to send orders to the immortal emperors on the 3 planets, including the Reef Yellow Star. Time passed by minute. Emperor Yu stood motionlessly on the summit of the lone mountain. There was not the slightest bit of impatience on his face. Today, Qin Yu would be leaving the Jade Wave Star. This news was personally sent by the Saiyan Emperor. There was definitely no problem with it. As for when exactly Qin Yu would be leaving, it was still hard to say. Emperor Yu was holding a transmission spiritual pearl in his hand at all times. He was waiting for the Saiyan Emperor's message. Feng Yu, Qin Yu has already stepped into the interstellar conveying array. It's the conveying array that leads to the Reef Yellow Star. A message suddenly appeared in the transmission spiritual pearl. Emperor Yu scanned it with his immortal awareness and his eyes shined. My matter is already done. As for whether or not I manage to capture Qin Yu, that's your own matter. Also, don't tell Qin Yu about me helping you. Cyan Emperor's words contained dissatisfaction. Emperor Yu's face was filled with smiles. Rest assured, I will definitely not leak it out. Your Majesty, a person has arrived from the interstellar conveying array of the Jade Wave Star. His appearance does not match what Your Majesty described. It might be that he changed his appearance. As for his strength, this subordinate is unable to see through it. Another message was sent over. After receiving this message, Emperor Yu was completely certain. Everyone listen up. Activate the sealing element refining flames array of the Reef Yellow Star. Through the transmission spiritual pearl, Emperor Yu immediately gave the order to the 16 immortal emperors that had been preparing the entire time. An immortal emperor that had been quietly waiting outside the Reef Yellow Star received the order. He let out a long sigh of relief in his heart. It's finally begun. Not only him, the other 15 immortal emperors that had also been quietly waiting all relaxed. The 16 of them simultaneously began to circulate the immortal elemental energy within their bodies and began to form hand seals unceasingly. In the blink of an eye, beams of light soared into the sky. There were also beams of light that shot into the Reef Yellow Star from the cosmic space. In an instant, the entire Reef Yellow Star started to tremble as if there was an earthquake. Times at the location of the Reef Yellow Star's interstellar conveying array. Just as Qin Yu came out from the interstellar conveying array, he felt that the entire Earth started to tremble. There were even frightening beams of light descending from the sky. The ground shattered and energy filled the air. The surrounding cultivators all had frightened expressions. What's going on? Qin Yu didn't know what was going on at all. When the surrounding cultivators saw such a huge commotion, their faces were also filled with fear. Could it be that the immortal emperors are fighting each other? It actually caused the entire Reef Yellow Star to tremble. Everyone hurry up and leave. This Reef Yellow Star might explode and be destroyed. Some immortals immediately shouted, I'll give you 10 high-grade elemental spirit stones. Hurry up and let me go. Someone took out high-grade elemental spirit stones and wanted to leave through the interstellar conveying array. At this moment, the entire Reef Yellow Star was filled with powerful energy. If one were to use greater teleportation, that would be courting death. One could only leave through the interstellar conveying array. A large number of people around the interstellar conveying array wanted to leave through the interstellar conveying array. Scram! Move to the side. Me go first. Otherwise I'll kill you. A black-clothed, one-eyed man shouted angrily. It was chaos. There were only a few interstellar conveying arrays. A large number of immortals rushed over and started to fight over those interstellar conveying arrays. They used force, they used money. It was always chaos. What's going on? Everything happened too suddenly. Qin Yu didn't even understand what was going on. Suddenly, boom, boom, boom. Continuous explosions sounded. Some of the fragments from the explosions fiercely smashed onto Qin Yu's body. They were shattered into powder by the protective energy around Qin Yu's body. Qin Yu turned around to look. All of the Reef Yellow Star's interstellar conveying arrays had been completely destroyed. What are you doing? Qin Yu coldly looked at the white-clothed man in front of him. Why did you destroy all of the interstellar conveying arrays? Earlier, it was this white-clothed man who destroyed all of the interstellar conveying arrays with lightning speed. This caused Qin Yu to be extremely furious. However, Qin Yu also discovered this person's strength. Level 4 Immortal Emperor. He was the only immortal emperor in the surroundings. Seeing the destroyed interstellar conveying arrays, a large number of immortals in the surroundings were stunned. Why did you destroy the interstellar conveying arrays? Can't you see that the entire planet is trembling? A youth walked out and angrily reprimanded. Who knows, some great calamity might happen to the Reef Yellow Star. A while ago, 2 great immortal emperors fought on the Blue Snow Star. Almost half of the entire planet was destroyed. If something like this were to happen again today because of you, all of us might lose our lives. You can shut your mouth now, the white-clothed man said indifferently. His sword flashed. That youth who was reprimanding was instantly pierced through his yuanying. His soul scattered. Absolute silence. The large group of immortals who were watching all did not dare to speak. Firstly, they could tell how strong this white-clothed man was. Secondly, that youth was an extremely strong golden immortal. However, he was killed with a single sword strike. Furthermore, the reef yellow star did not have any calamity. Everything that happened earlier was just a guess. You should be an immortal emperor, right? A dignified immortal emperor actually destroyed the interstellar conveying arrays. Speak, why did you destroy the interstellar conveying arrays? Qin Yu said indifferently to the white-clothed man. At the same time, Qin Yu's immortal sense began to spread out. Immortal emperors. 1, 2, 3. 22 immortal emperors. Qin Yu's immortal sense had already discovered all the surrounding immortal emperors, including the strongest immortal emperor, Emperor Yu. Qin Yu felt that something was amiss. Could it be that after I entered the Jade Wave Star, Emperor Yu had sent people to wait here? Did he confirm my identity just by seeing me? However, how did he recognize me? Qin Yu started to feel puzzled. At the beginning, he had concealed his aura. Emperor Yu shouldn't have been able to detect him. Could it be that the person who was unable to see through his strength was definitely him? Qin Yu believed that Emperor Yu would not be so rash. Unfortunately, Qin Yu did not think that it was Cyan Emperor who sold him out. Haha, Qin Yu, in order to capture you, His Majesty sent all the experts to the 3 major planets just to wait for you. Humph. This time don't even think about escaping. The white-clothed man laughed loudly and said. Soon after, he shot towards the sky. Qin Yu flew towards the sky almost at the same time. The interstellar conveying array has been destroyed. Everyone fly out of the reef yellow star first and use greater teleportation when we reach a stable cosmic space. An immortal said as he flew towards the sky. At the same time, a large group of immortals also flew towards the sky. The white-clothed man and Qin Yu flew towards the sky one after the other. With the speed of the immortals, they broke through the atmosphere of the reef yellow star in the blink of an eye. At this moment, Qin Yu was standing in the air above the atmosphere. The surrounding clouds were floating. Qin Yu frowned deeply. The entire planet has been trapped. Seems like I won't be able to escape. Qin Yu was very calm. Earlier, that immortal emperor directly flew into the cosmic space. However, Qin Yu did not succeed. When he was flying, he was blocked by an earth-shattering light barrier. That light barrier was circular in shape. In one breath, it enveloped the entire reef yellow star. At this moment, the entire reef yellow star was like an egg yolk. It was completely enveloped by this eggshell. Bang! 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 Sounds of collisions sounded one after another. The immortals that flew from behind all crashed into the light barrier. At the beginning, the light barrier was not visible at all. After the immortals crashed into it, it emitted a burst of light and then disappeared. Phew! His body was like a ray of light. He directly teleported from the atmosphere and arrived on the ground. Emperor Yu, in order to capture me, you've spent quite a bit of effort. Qin Yu humphed coldly and said. A purple-clothed man rapidly descended from the sky and landed on the ground. He smiled as he looked at Qin Yu. Qin Yu, you should also know that today, you are a turtle in a jar. It is simply impossible for you to escape. Enveloping the entire planet. That enormous amount of energy made it so that there is no place on the reef yellow star that can teleport. You also sent people to destroy the interstellar conveying array. That was a good move. I indeed have no way of escaping. Qin Yu smiled coldly and said. Hee hee. Emperor Yu's face was filled with smiles. To be honest, even now, I still don't know if you are Qin Yu or Lan Feng. My mind is a bit muddled. However, I know. You have a divine armor, 10,000 beasts atlas and bewitching god painting on you. At this moment, Emperor Yu felt that victory was within his grasp. If you are obedient and give me the 10,000 beasts atlas and bewitching god painting, I can give up the other divine armaments and Qingyu immortal mansion. I can even spare your life. Are you willing? Emperor Yu said very magnanimously. Although the divine armor and divine sword Skypiercer were very good, Emperor Yu had his own offensive and defensive divine armaments. In his eyes, the 10,000 beasts atlas and bewitching god painting were the most important. Qingyu was a bit surprised. He immediately smiled and said, "The conditions are not bad. However, the 10,000 beasts atlas and bewitching god painting are mine. Why should I give them to you?" Chapter 377. Are you joking? Emperor Yu still had a smile on his face, but there was a trace of anger in his eyes. Qin Yu had an expression as if it was a matter of course. Joking? What joke? This 10,000 beasts atlas and the bewitching god painting are mine, so they are mine. No matter who it is, don't even think about taking them away from me. The expression on Emperor Yu's face quickly turned ice cold. The smile on his face completely disappeared. He stared at Qin Yu with an ice-cold gaze. Qin Yu, I gave you a way out but you didn't take it. Are you seeking death? Who said I'm seeking death? Qin Yu asked back. Emperor Yu narrowed his eyes. He firmly stared at Qin Yu without saying a single word. However, his immortal awareness had covered the entire reef Yellow Star. The countless immortals on the reef Yellow Star were all in a state of alarm. Jibai Mu Yan, come quickly. Emperor Yu's voice sounded in Immortal Emperor Jibai and Immortal Emperor Mu Yan's mind. Green-blooded sword Immortal Jibai and yellow-gowned Immortal Emperor Mu Yan were the two great level 7 Immortal Emperors under Emperor Yu. Of course, green-blooded sword Immortal's attack power was slightly higher. However, yellow-gowned Immortal Emperor Mu Yan was in charge of all the troops under Emperor Yu. Emperor Yu had always thought that Qin Yu had a miraculous aura concealing technique. He only thought that Qin Yu could conceal himself. However, he never knew that Qin Yu's immortal awareness could detect his immortal awareness. Are you going to make your move? Qin Yu had completely withdrawn all the energy in his body into the black hole. His soul power had also completely withdrawn into Lu Xing's tear. Emperor Yu did not make his move. Because Emperor Yu had heard of how frightening Qin Yu's speed was. It would definitely be very difficult for him to catch Qin Yu by himself. Therefore, he prepared to let green-blooded sword Immortal and yellow-gowned Immortal Emperor surround Qin Yu from two other directions. However, would Qin Yu give him the chance? Emperor Yu, you want to seize my treasures? Come if you have the ability. Qin Yu roared. His voice was still reverberating between heaven and earth, but his entire body had already disappeared into the east. Emperor Yu's expression changed. He suddenly spread open his hands. With Emperor Yu as the center, everything within a circumference of 10,000 miles became Emperor Yu's domain. Within the domain, even if it was a grain of sand, Emperor Yu would be able to clearly sense it. Unfortunately, with Qin Yu's speed, he had already left this region. Hua! Shua! Jibai and Mu Yan appeared beside Emperor Yu. Your Majesty, Mu Yan asked, a trace of doubt on his face. At this moment, Jibai and Mu Yan's immortal awareness had completely spread out. However, even though their immortal awareness had covered the entire reef Yellow Star, they were completely unable to find a trace of Qin Yu's aura. Similarly, Emperor Yu's immortal awareness had also spread to every corner of the reef Yellow Star. Jibai's face was cold and indifferent as he said, that Qin Yu has a secret technique to restrain his aura. When we were on Blue Flame Star, he suddenly appeared and I didn't even notice his existence. And now, he's probably using that concealment technique again. Emperor Yu nodded. Qin Yu had attacked a few times. Before he attacked, The enemies were unable to sense his strength. It was only after he attacked that they were able to sense Qin Yu's strength from the aura emitted by Qin Yu. Emperor Yu was naturally clear about this. Everyone, there's no need to be anxious. Now that the entire reef yellow star has been sealed, it's impossible for him to escape. If we want to capture him, we have plenty of time. Furthermore, I don't believe that he'll give himself away. If there's really no other way, I'll. A trace of ruthlessness flashed through Emperor Yu's eyes. Your Majesty, you mustn't. Mu Yan hurriedly said. Mu Yan knew what Emperor Yu's final move was. When he thought of that move, Mu Yan immediately thought of the terrifying consequences. Green blood sword Immortal Ji Bai's face was still cold and indifferent. Emperor Yu's immortal awareness had spread to every corner of the reef yellow star. The breeze, sand, water, the airflow in the air vibrations caused by the immortals fighting in the reef yellow star. Emperor Yu was able to clearly sense any kind of energy fluctuation. If you still want to escape. Emperor Yu's figure suddenly dashed towards the northeast direction. Without hesitation, Ji Bai and Mu Yan also followed. Emperor Yu, Ji Bai and Mu Yan had only dashed with extreme speed for a blink of an eye when they saw Qin Yu, who was hiding in a valley and resting comfortably against a rock. Qin Yu also saw the three of them at the same time. His eyes were filled with astonishment. You guys actually discovered me. A trace of excitement appeared in Qin Yu's eyes. As expected of Emperor Yu. Emperor Yu coldly humphed. Did you think that by restraining all of your aura, I wouldn't be able to discover you? How did you discover me? Qin Yu asked. Ji Bai and Mu Yan, who were behind Emperor Yu, also felt that it was strange. In a situation where they couldn't detect the slightest bit of Qin Yu's aura, how did Emperor Yu determine that Qin Yu was here? Why would I tell you? If I tell you, wouldn't it give you a way to escape? Said Emperor Yu with a cold smile. Immediately after, he coldly ordered. Ji Bai, Mu Yan, kill him immediately. Yes, Your Majesty. Mu Yan and Ji Bai nodded their heads and simultaneously charged towards Qin Yu. No matter if it was Mu Yan, Ji Bai or Qin Yu, none of them noticed that Emperor Yu's complexion was slightly pale. Earlier, the reason why Emperor Yu was able to discover Qin Yu was because Emperor Yu's comprehension of the universe had reached his current level and comprehended a method. In an instant, his immortal awareness had recorded the airflow, the breeze, the movement of the rocks, the attacks of the immortals. Every single energy fluctuation was recorded clearly. From there, he was able to determine where the abnormality was. The ground wouldn't cave in for no reason. If it was caved in, it could be that there was nothing below it. Could be that there was someone stepping on it. However, it definitely wouldn't cave in for no reason. Relying on this principle, Emperor Yu discovered the location where Qin Yu was at earlier. The grass under Qin Yu's but was pressed down for no reason at all. Although there was a breeze in the ravine, the grass in the other parts of the ravine was bent down by a very small amount of force. If there was no other force, then why was the grass pressed down? There was only one explanation. An existence that Emperor Yu couldn't detect caused the grass to be pressed down. Emperor Yu was able to determine that Qin Yu was here. The principle was simple. However, the entire reef yellow star was so big. There were all kinds of boundless places, deserts, swamps, valleys, forests, all kinds of minute energies, ants, airflow, rocks rolling. Just the population was over 100 million. The actions of every single person would cause all kinds of effects to the surroundings. The actions of every single person would cause other chain reactions. Even Emperor Yu had to consider all of this. Otherwise, his judgment might be wrong. In short, Emperor Yu had to analyze millions and millions of things in an instant to determine if every single one of them was reasonable. Without a powerful immortal awareness, one would definitely not be able to do this. Even so, Emperor Yu still felt mentally tired. That was why he didn't immediately attack. Where is he? Ji Bai shouted at Mu Yan. Mu Yan shook his head helplessly and said, Earlier, that Qin Yu was hit by my palm and fell behind that mountain. However, when I went over, I discovered that he had disappeared. Times Qin Yu's figure floated like the wind. His valiant body allowed Qin Yu to reach a speed comparable to a level 8 or 9 golden immortal, even without using the black hole's power. In a blink of an eye, Qin Yu arrived at a small village. This Emperor Yu is truly abnormal. How did he discover me just now? Even now, Qin Yu still couldn't understand that question. That shouldn't be the case. He couldn't detect my soul's aura, nor could he detect my energy's aura. How did he discover me? Qin Yu unhurriedly walked towards this village as if he was just an ordinary person. Fortunately to Emperor Yu, using his immortal awareness to cover the entire reef yellow star and analyzing countless things was even more tiring than fighting a battle. If Emperor Yu was able to analyze the entire planet at all times, Qin Yu wouldn't be able to escape at all. Big brother, are you an immortal? A 6 or 7-year-old child in this small village opened his eyes wide and looked at Qin Yu. I guess so. What's wrong? Qin Yu smiled and said to the child. Qin Yu was currently restraining his aura and treating himself as an ordinary person. He didn't believe that Emperor Yu would be able to discover him again. This 6 or 7-year-old child swallowed his saliva and looked at Qin Yu with his large eyes. He longingly said, Big brother, I want to cultivate and become an immortal. Can you teach me? Qin Yu was slightly startled. There were still people in the immortal, devil and demon realm that didn't cultivate. Actually, even now, Qin Yu didn't know much about the immortal, devil and demon realm. Some of the mortal planets, such as this reef yellow star, were extremely large and had a diameter of several billion miles. However, there were only 3 cities in the entire reef yellow star. The distance between each city was over 1 billion miles. Billion miles. Outside of the 3 cities, there were some villages. Many of the people in those villages didn't even know how to cultivate. 1 billion miles was truly too far for them who didn't cultivate. Thus, on many of the planets, there were some remote villages outside of the cities where ordinary people who didn't cultivate lived. Their greatest hope was to meet outsiders or people who flew over from the sky. That's because most of those people were cultivators. They looked forward to learning how to cultivate from those people so that they could fly between the heaven and earth. Sure, Qin Yu said to the child with a smile. The child's eyes immediately shined and his face turned red from excitement. That's great. I'll go tell my mother. At this moment, some of the people in the village also discovered Qin Yu. Nyowa! A woman shouted from afar. Qin Yu smiled. So this child was called Nyowa. He was truly simple and honest. Mother, I've met a... Qin Yu, you're quite leisurely. Emperor Yu's figure suddenly appeared. At this moment, Emperor Yu's complexion wasn't too pale. That's because this time, after he determined the distance between Qin Yu and him, he rested for a while before rushing over. At the same time, 2 figures appeared. It was Ji Bai and Mu Yen, the 2 great immortal lords. While he was still speaking, a golden thin sword suddenly appeared in Emperor Yu's hand. A surge of sword aura abruptly spread out with a golden thin sword as the center. Qin Yu was only able to use his energy to protect little Nyowa. Bang! Everything within the circumference of several tens of li turned into fine powder. The small village that was there just a moment ago disappeared. Mother! Little Nyowa, who was being protected by Qin Yu, shouted himself hoarse. His complexion was so pale that there wasn't a trace of blood. Qin Yu touched little Nyowa's neck with one hand. Little Nyowa immediately fell asleep. Qin Yu immediately took little Nyowa into the Qingyu Immortal Mansion. After receiving such a shock, it's better for him to fall asleep. Emperor Yu, you did it on purpose. Qin Yu's eyes started to turn red. Yes, I did it on purpose. Emperor Yu's complexion also became slightly malevolent. I already don't have the patience to waste time with you. On the Amber Moon Star, I miscalculated and let you escape. On the Blue Snow Star, I let you escape again. This time I will definitely kill you. Emperor Yu raised the golden thin sword in his hand. Last time on the Blue Snow Star, in order to hide my identity, I only used the Thunder God's hammer. This time I will let you know the true strength of I, Emperor Yu, who can move unhindered in the immortal devil and demon realm. This divine weapon is a mid-quality divine sword, Great Emperor's sword. Ooh, poos, poos, poo. Several thousand golden sword silhouettes continuously descended from the sky. Qin Yu's surroundings were filled with attacks from the sword silhouettes. Qin Yu simply had no place to dodge. Qin Yu tried his best to dodge. He wanted to avoid being hit by the attacks as much as possible. What's going on? Merely being hit by a golden sword silhouette, Qin Yu felt a burst of dizziness. Everything in front of his eyes turned into 6 or 7 illusions. What a strange attack. Qin Yu had no way to block it. Where is he? Mu Yen looked at every direction in confusion. Emperor Yu's face was ashen. He once again spread out his immortal awareness and covered the entire reef yellow star. He didn't let go of any place. Every grain of sand, every blade of grass, Emperor Yu carefully analyzed and eliminated them. After analyzing once, he didn't find Qin Yu. Emperor Yu's face turned pale. After analyzing twice, he still didn't find Qin Yu. Emperor Yu's face was as white as paper. After analyzing for the 3rd time, Emperor Yu's face suddenly turned red. He forcefully swallowed a mouthful of blood into his stomach. He's hiding again, hiding again. Emperor Yu's entire body was emitting a chaotic and berserk energy. His eyes were burning with anger. Just like the blue snow star, Qin Yu has holed himself up again. Your Majesty! Ji Bai and Mu Yen were both greatly shocked. They had followed Emperor Yu for so long, yet they had only seen Emperor Yu become furious twice. The first time was because of Immortal Emperor Yang, and the second time was because of Mystic Emperor. They didn't expect that Emperor Yu would become furious again. I had already predicted that he would hide. Indeed, Emperor Yu's voice was ice cold. Send the order to the 16 immortal emperors to start using the sealing element refining flames arrays refining flames. Burn, burn, burn the entire reef yellow star. I don't believe that he would still be able to escape. Your Majesty, you mustn't. Mu Yen hurriedly said. The reef yellow star is a huge planet. There are millions of immortals and over 100 million cultivators on it. If your Majesty were to destroy such a huge planet, the influence would be too bad. Back then Lin Yin destroyed a planet. Who would dare to say anything? So what if I burned a planet? This Blood River galaxy doesn't belong to Cyan Emperor or Mystic Emperor. Who in the immortal realm would dare to say anything about me? Burn, burn the entire planet. I want to see if that Qingyu immortal mansion can still hide under the extremely silent heavenly flames, if it can still hold on. Emperor Yu's anger soared to the heavens. Yes, your Majesty. Mu Yen could only obey the order. 16 immortal emperors, listen up. Use the blue heavenly flames to burn the entire planet. As for the parts that can't be burned, use the extremely silent heavenly flames to burn them all. Mu Yen slightly changed Emperor Yu's order. If they were to use the extremely silent heavenly flames continuously, even if the 16 immortal emperors had the assistance of the formation, they would still be exhausted to death. Chapter 378. Reef Yellow Star. It had a thick layer of atmosphere surrounding it. And now, outside the atmosphere, there was a layer of light barrier that enveloped the reef yellow star. In the space surrounding the reef yellow star, there were 16 immortal emperors controlling the sealing element refining array. This time around, Emperor Yu had gathered a large number of immortal emperors under his command. The head of the 36 sovereigns, Immortal Emperor Qian Qi, was naturally among them. His strength could be considered to be pretty good. Thus, he became one of the 16 immortal emperors that Qin Yu would most likely appear on the reef yellow star to set up the formation array. Immortal Emperor Qian Qi stood in the space, holding a transmission spiritual pearl in his hand. However, Immortal Emperor Qian Qi's face was filled with disbelief. Burn the entire planet? How is that possible? This is a huge planet. There are more than 1 million immortals and over 100 million self-cultivators. Did Immortal Emperor Mu Yen send the wrong order? Immortal Emperor Qian Qi did not immediately carry out the order. Instead, he sent a transmission to ask again. Not only Immortal Emperor Qian Qi, the 16 immortal emperors who set up the sealing element refining flame array all received the order and asked Immortal Emperor Mu Yen and Emperor Yu again. They did not dare to believe it. Emperor Yu scanned the contents of the transmission spiritual pearl with his immortal awareness. Immortal Emperor Mu Yen beside him also received the message. Immortal Emperor Mu Yen looked at Emperor Yu and said with a trace of expectation, "Your Majesty." Although Immortal Emperor Mu Yen could be considered to be ruthless, but to burn an entire planet, this was truly too cruel. Everyone listen to my order. Activate the sealing element refining flame array and burn the entire planet. No matter what, we must find Qin Yu. Emperor Yu personally gave the order this time. The extremely silent heavenly flame is extremely powerful. Other than divine weapons, what can't it burn? Emperor Yu's heart was filled with confidence. Immediately, he ordered the green-blooded sword immortal and the yellow-gowned immortal emperor beside him. Let's go, leave the reef yellow star first. Yes, Your Majesty. Mu Yen and Ji Bai replied at the same time. Immortal Emperor Mu Yen was somewhat disappointed. As for Ji Bai, he did not care. Wasn't it just burning a planet? In the boundless immortal devil and demon realm, there were countless planets. So what if one was burned? Times after the 16 great immortal emperors received Emperor Yu's personal order, none of them had any thoughts of leaving things to chance. Among the 10 great immortal emperors, Immortal Emperor Yu Fan, who was in charge of the Great Formation, spread out his immortal awareness. He ordered the other 15 immortal emperors, use the blue heavenly flame as the guide, form the flame refinement technique. Once the order was given, the 16 immortal emperors practically formed hand seals at the same time. Blue heavenly flames emerged from every immortal emperor's body and merged into their hand seals. And at this time, the light barrier that enveloped the entire reef yellow star began to shine. At the same time, the elemental spirit energy within the boundless universe began to frantically gather towards the light barrier of the sealing element refining array. The energy of the entire array flourished greatly, and the light barrier that covered the entire reef yellow star began to burn with a layer of faint blue flames. Following which, clumps of flames began to fall from the light barrier. Sealing element refining fire array. It had 2 main functions. One was to seal the elemental energy, and the other was to refine fire. Once refined flame was unleashed, everything turned into nothingness. On the reef yellow star there were 3 major cities. Each city occupied an extremely vast area, and there were a large number of immortal cultivators within. Within a restaurant, Great Martial Uncle, currently, the entire reef yellow star has been sealed. Even the interstellar conveying array has been destroyed. We simply have no way of leaving the reef yellow star. What should we do? A handsome youth's face was filled with anxiety. Most of the people in the restaurant were looking at this great martial uncle. He was a level 8 golden immortal. On the reef yellow star, he was already considered a peak existence. What should we do? We can only wait. This great martial uncle did not have the slightest idea. But everyone, please be at ease. The array that sealed the reef yellow star should be the legendary sealing element refining fire array. Using this array, it should be because the person who set up the array wants to capture someone. I believe that after they capture that person, they will automatically remove the array. Hearing this great martial uncle's words, the group of people in the restaurant became slightly quieter. Great martial uncle, look. Suddenly, a youth that was sitting by the window of the restaurant pointed outside and said in shock, That's blue heavenly flames. A blue flame that was as tall as a person descended from the sky and rolled onto the street. Soon after, it exploded. In an instant, it covered a circumference of 100 meters, and the ground was instantly burned to ashes. Everyone quickly leave. A person suddenly shouted loudly. Because the blue flame also appeared on the roof, the rocks that were used to build the restaurant and those defensive restrictions simply did not have the slightest bit of resistance. The blue heavenly flames easily burned everything clean. That great martial uncle seemed to have gone mad as he rushed out of the restaurant. With a glance, he continued to look. Covering the sky and covering the earth, every single place on the reef Yellow Star was covered by the blue heavenly flames. It was endless, densely packed, and there was not a single place that was safe. Seeing this scene, this great martial uncle was stunned. He knew that even an immortal emperor-level expert would not be able to release so many blue heavenly flames at once. In reality, the 16 immortal emperors who set up the array also relied on the array to absorb the energy of the universe to release this move. Blue heavenly flames, so many blue heavenly flames. Could it be that they really used the sealing element refining fire array's refining fire? The great martial uncle's entire body started to tremble. His eyes were filled with fear. Who is it that is so crazy, so inhumane? Refining fire, do you want to refine the entire planet, refine millions of immortals, and over 100 million Ziationists? A hoarse roar came out from this great martial uncle. A ball of blue heavenly flames smashed down towards the great martial uncle. An immortal sword appeared in the great martial uncle's hand. He directly forced the blue heavenly flames back with a slash. As a level 8 golden immortal, even when facing the blue heavenly flames, he would not die so easily. Who is it? Angry roars sounded from other places in the city. Countless immortals and countless Ziationists were furious and went crazy. The person who set up the array wanted to burn them to death. Furthermore, he wanted to burn everyone on the planet to death. Such ruthlessness caused these immortals who felt despair to be furious and go crazy. Angry roars sounded one after another throughout the entire reef Yellow Star. Those Ziationists did not have the slightest bit of resistance before dying in front of the blue heavenly flames. Even sky immortals died on the spot. Only the golden immortals were able to resist for a while. However, the golden immortals knew that although they were able to resist for a while, when the blue heavenly flames engulfed them, they would undoubtedly die. Anger, despair, hysteria. Who is it? Those golden immortals who were in despair roared. The strongest person on the entire reef Yellow Star was only a level 9 golden immortal, other than Qin Yu. Facing the endless blue heavenly flames, they were simply unable to resist. The roars of the golden immortals resonated through the heaven and earth. Emperor Yu, Mu Yen, Ji Bai and the others who were in outer space also heard it clearly. Immortal Emperor Mu Yan's face was very complicated. Hearing the roars of despair and the endless hatred contained within the roars, his heart slightly trembled. As for the green blood sword Immortal Ji Bai, his pupils slightly contracted. As for Emperor Yu, his face was filled with coldness. Instead, there was a trace of excitement in his eyes. What great resentment! You guys can feel resentment all you want. It's a pity that you won't know who killed you even when you die. Emperor, you did not waver in the slightest. Qin Yu, I have brought an entire planet to be buried with you. You will die a worthy death. A piece of sand underneath the reef Yellow Star was precisely the Zhonglan's realm. Inside the Zhonglan's realm, Qin Yu had already brought little Nyowa from the Qingyu Immortal Mansion into the Zhonglan's realm. Little Nyowa was still unconscious. Qin Yu did not even know how he should explain things now that little Nyowa had woken up. It's me who implicated him. Qin Yu was filled with guilt. Suddenly, fire! Qin Yu felt that the Zhonglan's realm was being burned by the blue heavenly flames. He was unable to refrain himself from feeling strange. Qin Yu's immortal awareness started to spread out from the Zhonglan's realm. In an instant, It covered over half of the Jianglan's realm. Upon seeing, Qin Yu started to tremble. His eyes also started to turn red. The enormous reef yellow star was now only 10% of its original size. The rest of the reef yellow star had been burned into nothingness. Under the blue heavenly flames, those rocks and whatnot did not even leave behind ashes. They were merely burned into nothingness. Who is it that wants to burn us to death? Who exactly is it? Who is it? The angry roars were still echoing in the sky above the reef yellow star. Several hundred powerful golden immortals were still flying in the sky. Each and every one of the golden immortals had a malevolent expression on their faces. Their gazes were filled with killing intent, madness, hysteria, the struggle before death. That angry roar caused Qin Yu's heart to tremble. He had never imagined that Emperor Yu could be this ruthless. When he was on the blue snow star, Emperor Yu was unable to find him and could only send people to monitor him. However, this time, Emperor Yu actually wanted to burn the entire planet. Emperor Yu. Qin Yu's heart was in chaos. The frantic roars of those several hundred golden immortals had caused Qin Yu's heart to surge. He was filled with guilt toward all the people on the entire planet. He was filled with hatred toward Emperor Yu. He was filled with hatred toward his own incompetence. It was an entire planet, the reef yellow star that was even larger than his own hometown. How many cultivators were there on this planet? How many immortals were there? However, now they were all going to die. Furthermore, they were being burned to nothingness by the blue heavenly flames. Under the burning of the blue heavenly flames, the final several hundred golden immortals began to fall one by one. However, their angry roars continued to reverberate within the sealing element refining flames array. The enormous reef yellow star was getting smaller and smaller. At this moment, it was only the size of a mountain. However, under the burning of the blue heavenly flames, the size of the reef yellow star was still slowly shrinking. 8 golden immortals. Of these 8 golden immortals, 7 were level 9 golden immortals and 1 was level 8 golden immortal. These 8 golden immortals were still in their final struggle. They had already flown close to the light screen. Who is it? Who exactly killed us? These 8 golden immortals shouted angrily at the light screen. This group of golden immortals only had one final thought in their hearts: to know who the murderer was. They knew that there was no hope for them to take revenge. However, even if they were to die, they still wanted to know who killed them. In the outer space, Emperor Yu and his group of people looked at the final 8 golden immortals. A group of ants. Emperor Yu's voice was ice cold. Immediately after, he ordered, "The reef yellow star is actually this big. Those are mostly top-quality ores. It is already hard to use the blue heavenly flames to refine them. Use the extremely silent heavenly flames." The 16 immortal emperors accepted the order. The Yuanying true flame of heaven immortal level experts was an ordinary heavenly flame. As for the golden immortal level experts, the true flame of their bodies was the blue heavenly flames. As for the immortal emperor level experts, the true flame of their bodies was the extremely silent heavenly flames. Even the immortal emperors only had a small amount of extremely silent heavenly flames in their bodies. The 16 immortal emperors also had to rely on the sealing element refining flames array and borrow the energy of the universe in order to form a large amount of extremely silent heavenly flames. The complexions of the 16 immortal emperors were a bit flushed. They started to form hand seals and threads of indistinct golden flames shot out from their palms. At the same time, the entire sealing element refining flames array started to tremble. The energy of the universe started to frantically gather toward the sealing element refining flames array. The inner flame was golden. The outer flame was blue. This was the extremely silent heavenly flames. One after another, the extremely silent heavenly flames shot out from the light screen. The entire light screen shot out several hundred extremely silent heavenly flames at once. Furthermore, as it absorbed the energy of the universe, it was still brewing the next extremely silent heavenly flames. It's the extremely silent heavenly flames. The remaining 8 golden immortals were already stunned. "Kill them," ordered Emperor Yu. The 16 immortal emperors controlling the Great Formation Array immediately controlled the extremely silent heavenly flames to surround the 8 golden immortals. Even if the 8 golden immortals were to run for their lives, they would not be able to outrun the speed of the extremely silent heavenly flames. Their earth immortal swords instantly melted under the burning of the extremely silent heavenly flames. When faced with the extremely silent heavenly flames, the bodies of the golden immortals did not have the slightest bit of power to resist and were directly turned into nothingness. Even their yuanying was refined into liquid. In the end, their yuanying energy was completely exhausted and also turned into nothingness. "Who exactly is it that killed us?" The final roar sounded. The final golden immortal was also killed. Even when they died, they still did not know who the murderer was. And at this moment, several hundred extremely silent heavenly flames covered the small mountain from all directions. This small mountain was what remained after the entire reef yellow star was refined by the blue sure heavenly flames. Chi-Chi. The extremely silent heavenly flames were indeed worthy of being called the extremely silent heavenly flames. Under the burning of the extremely silent heavenly flames, that small mountain shrunk at a frightening speed. After a short moment, the sealing element refining flames array once again emitted a new round of extremely silent heavenly flames. The size of the small mountain rapidly shrunk. In the end, it became the size of an ordinary house. Gradually, the size of the house continued to shrink. At the same time, it also began to turn into liquid and flowed in all directions. After it completely melted, the amount of liquid added up was only half the size of a house. "Your Majesty, that liquid is a material that can be used to refine top-quality immortal swords. At the very most, it can be melted into liquid and cannot be completely refined," said Mu Yen. In order to refine top-quality immortal swords, the flame required was precisely the extremely silent heavenly flames. Where's Qin Yu's divine equipment? The Qingyu Immortal Mansion was definitely unable to resist the extremely silent heavenly flames. Qin Yu ought to have died. However, his divine equipment would not be melted. Where is his divine equipment? Emperor Yu's immortal awareness carefully distinguished the large lump of liquid that was being burned by the extremely silent heavenly flames. The divine equipment did not appear. This means that Qin Yu is still not dead. Could it be that the Qingyu Immortal Mansion was not burned? A trace of a cold smile appeared on Emperor Yu's face. Even if it was not burned, it is definitely within that lump of liquid. That you're tuning in to the Whispers of Romance YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.